What does it say?
That's great. That was the British side of Roman right there. That was fantastic.
Greeting, boys and girls, lads and lasses. I'm not TJ Maybe, nor am I Jim the Viking. What you're getting is the pirate broadcast of Let's Talk Geeky, going as well as it possibly could. With me today, of course, Mr. AWK, our representative in the UK, along with Wendology, also in the UK, and the other American on the panel, my good friend, is Stephen Ransom. Welcome all.
Oh, man, classic.
We've lost our Viking. We don't know what happened to our Viking. If you see him wandering around, please send him home because we miss him.
He found some green lands, I guess.
Yes, he may be raiding villages. He may be settling islands. We don't know where Jim is. So here we are, though. Now it's been an all right week. I think we had a good show the other nights over on my channel. Got some. It got weird, and I had to make a new rule for myself this week, and I'll share it with you now. Don't drink a bottle of wine before the broadcast. It's a rule I shouldn't have had to make, but here we are.
That may have come in handy, actually.
I don't know. I've been looking at the numbers, Roman, and maybe we should all drink a bottle of wine before a stream.
It got weird, and I actually managed to give myself a lot of technical difficulties. But I did show up. I still showed up. Jim, are you out there?
Wake up, you lazy brother.
Oh my God. I'd pay good money to have Colin react to all of this. That would be priceless.
He's stuck in 1522 still, unfortunately. So what's everybody got going on right now? Wen, how have you been? What's shaking? How's your week been?
It's been all right. It's been good week. We are definitely hip deep in a first time watch through of Supernatural. So
what season
pretty
are you
pleased
on
with
now?
Trigger on top, no spoilers. We're on season 7 now. Just finished season 6.
You're about halfway there, almost halfway there.
Yeah, so we're in deep now. So we're loving it. Absolutely loving it. What else are we watching? Tonight we watched John Pertwee's Doctor Who in the Demons with Roger Delgado and
that is good.
Fun.
The Dream Team. Yeah. So that was really great.
The classic Who. We'll probably get into Doctor Who in just a little bit. We talked quite a bit on Father Miller's channel yesterday. Stephen, how are you doing, buddy?
I just want to say this chat, guys and gals, I am so happy. You guys just rolled with it, popped over here. We got everybody just came in. There's 10 live in the chat. Absolutely fantastic. That's
when we
so
go
awesome.
pirate, we do it right, damn it.
Just
hey, and our good friend Archer Colin just popped in straight from the year 1522. How are you, Colin?
Colin, that's proof that you've got a TARDIS.
What, did I offend him?
Oh,
Where is he?
Oh, good. Here we
He's
go
still
again.
tuning it in.
Okay, so it is what it is. So, Stephen, you've been on like 27 broadcasts this week, like normal.
And I've been under the weather on top of it too. So there you go.
So we finished our show, and then I saw it was like 3:00 in the morning. You were doing something. Oh dear God, he's back in 1522.
No,
just gone.
He's doing the right thing. He stepped out. He's going to step back in as a reincarnation of himself. That's the way to do it on StreamYard.
He's regenerating as we speak.
Right. That's right.
Mr. AWK, how have you been? How has your week been?
It's been okay, especially going deaf in both ears thanks for bloody earwax, but never mind. But overall, we're just all gearing up for Tuesday, which is going to be such a laugh. And that's it.
That's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. Steven, I'm going to have to hit you up for the badges again because that's lost in my interweb. I had it and then I didn't have it for our show. We're going to be doing Alex, Mr. AWK, FFSI, which I have a hard time pronouncing, even when I'm sober. We're doing a special presentation on Tuesday, the Prisoner themed show. So that's going to be a hoot. Things have been weird over here. I mean, we had our elections this week.
Yeah.
Hey, Roman, before we get into this whole thing, do you have the capability of reading a layered art file? Do you have something that reads Photoshop files? Because I can just send them all to you as a single.
Oh, I don't know what word you're saying right now.
Okay,
so
okay, I'll send them to you individually. No worries.
I just
you need the entire set of badges.
I just need the 13. I need my badge.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever the best way to do this. Yes, I am technologically impaired for the audience. If you have that question in your mind, the answer is correct. So we had our elections this week. We were hoping they were going to go better. They didn't go terrible. They didn't go as well as I was hoping they were going to go. Pennsylvania elected a Frankenstein. They elected a Frankenstein, which you don't normally see in modern politics. You don't normally get one of the universal monsters actually being elected to the Senate, but here we are. Hey, he's back, Colin.
Let's see if it works this time.
Oh yeah,
it's sounding good, buddy.
Yeah, loud and clearly gungered in.
So, Colin, how have you been?
Computer's going.
Oh God, how has your week been, Colin?
Frustrating. I think the sound card or something may be going here because.
Oh no,
there's a trend here. There's a trend here.
Well, that and the fact I'm trying to hear myself over the war zone that's going on outside. I thought fireworks night was last bloody week.
Oh.
What are you guys having fireworks for? What's happening over there?
I have no idea.
It's people who forgot firework night was last week and now they're thinking it's this week instead.
All right.
It's called Idiots with Small Explosives.
Yes. Let's have a firework party instead.
So I watched season 4 of Stranger Things finally. Has anybody else watched that series?
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews. A lot of people like it. Some people
really
have major issues. It supposedly goes back to form, which is what I understand.
And that's what I thought. Season 3 I thought was pretty weak. Season 4 I really enjoyed, but then yesterday, was it yesterday? I've been doing a lot of drinking, folks. It's the end of the world. It's really bringing me down, but that's neither here nor there. So I got drunk and then I bought all of the Stranger Things soundtracks on vinyl. So
nice.
I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Oh, Mrs. of the Empire is out. Did I leave water in the house? Oh, okay. Thank you, Mrs. of the Empire.
Hello, Mrs. of the Empire.
She is retreated, and she's also still mad that that I hear her as Marge Simpson when she speaks, but that's okay. So strange thing,
why? That's a downright congratulations on her part. She's an incredible woman, Mrs. Simpson.
Exactly.
So I don't know what she's talking.
I don't know. She's a complicated lady. So Stranger Things season 4, very good. We started watching Dahmer. That's disturbing. That's disturbing. So we're only on episode 3 or 4 right now. We're having to take that one in increments because it's been it's disturbing.
Intense.
It's disturbing.
Yeah.
But it's a serial killer show. The young man who plays the part, whose name I'm not remembering, he was on American Horror Story. Good actor. He had to have had some therapy or something after this. So Wendy, did you see it?
No, I didn't, but I've heard about it. But not a lot about it. But yeah, I'm just looking up this actor, Evan Peters.
Yes, Evan Peters
was his name.
And like I said, yeah, you'll recognize him from American Horror Story. And I'm not talking about the election. If you've seen that series,
I only watched the first season or so of American Horror Story, and for
I was
whatever
hot and cold with
reason,
that one.
yeah, I was very hot and cold with it, and I just didn't get a chance to really go back to it, so I haven't seen it from about second season onward,
And
which is no comment on whether it's good or bad. I mean, it's
right.
all
No,
selective anyway. It's
there were
it's up to the
good
individual,
ones
but
and bad ones. Some of them were brilliant, some of them were just not good. There was one season with a circus or a carnival or something. Carnival?
yeah,
That one was not good. That was just weird on too many levels.
yeah.
Even for me.
I
Even
don't
for
do
me,
the
folks.
circus thing.
No, clowns, man.
No.
They're not good. They're not good. So Dahmer, Stranger Things, and Peter Capaldi, The Devil's Hour.
Oh, the Devil's Hour, yeah.
So has anybody else on the panel watched that?
Nope.
We have.
No,
You guys have
but
watched it. So
this idea of celebrating or even condoning serial killers in such a way that we broadcast them in long view television. This all started with what's his
Natural
face
born
over
killers.
there? No, well, I guess it started there, but there was a television series that was going for a while. What was that one where he's a serial killer?
the O.J. Simpson trial.
No.
Oh, I see.
Dexter.
Dexter, that's it. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you. How
yes,
many
yes.
seasons did that thing run? And
A lot.
he was celebrated as a hero too. It's like, I'm sorry,
Well,
this weirdness of celebrating villains is so bizarre.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Yeah, I totally hear you there, Stephen. It is interesting. I think they're very interesting characters. I mean, there's no getting
I find them
around it.
fascinating.
So yeah, they are quite fascinating characters, and I think it's a question of personal personal boundaries of what you feel comfortable watching. I agree. I think sort of glorifying an actual serial killer. I'm not really interested in seeing a fictionalized version of that. I got to be honest. However, like Silence of the Lambs, superb film in my opinion. I enjoyed that. I liked the creepiness of it, and
Yes.
I was really, really impressed with that film on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
But then I could watch another one and I could just be like, I don't want to see this. I don't want this in my head.
Yeah. See, I think that was done correctly because nobody walks away from that film thinking that at the very, very best, he's an ambiguous terror in that movie, Silence of the Lamb. Nobody comes away from that celebrating or wanting to copycat him. Even he admits that he's a horrible monster.
Yeah.
I liked the series as well. Hannibal. I don't know if anybody watched that with Mads Mikkelsen.
No, not seen it, but
I loved it.
Cool.
I absolutely did.
Wasn't there a brief show based on the Psycho original movie?
No, that's. Oh, what are you talking about?
It was
Red Dragon?
Bates Motel. I think it was called Bates Motel. It was a fairly contemporary series.
No, there was. I never saw the Bates Motel series. I guess I Hannibal, yes. Bates Motel, no. Dahmer, I'm only just into. And Dahmer is obviously it's not glorifying him. He comes off as exactly what he was. I don't know that they needed to make I think it's a 6-part series about him though. But what they've done with him is the opposite of what they did with Ted Bundy, where they tried to, and I forget who played him. Oh. It was a newer Netflix version of it, but they kind of tried to normalize him too much.
Yeah.
And that was a big criticism. I mean, not just that I had, that a lot of people had of that series. And Dahmer, obviously, it's hard to, because he wasn't clever and articulate and good looking, and that Ted Bundy was all of those things, which made him such a the hidden monster. Dahmer was none of those things. So
yeah.
So The Devil's Hour, Peter Capaldi's in it. And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. I thought it was interesting. I thought the premise was interesting of the show.
Mhm.
What I didn't like was the ending. The last 10 minutes of the show kind of ruined the show for me.
Mm.
So it
Hey,
was
Cam Cam.
again, and go ahead.
I was just
Hi,
going to say,
Cam
hey,
Cam.
Cam Cam. Just popped in the chat.
Oh.
Sorry,
Never
Roman.
mind. Sorry.
Sorry
Now
to
I'm
break your
confused
flow.
and I don't remember what I was talking about. I may have peed myself. I don't know.
Hey, Melvin.
I'm off now. I'm off. She threw me.
I know this feeling well. I do. I experience this daily, several times a day. So you're not alone.
And so we got some more announcements this week as well. And Colin, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday on Father Miller's show. Russell T Davies is going to be doing 4 specials next year. 3 of them are going to be David Tennant's, and then the 4th looks like it's going to be Shooty going into the role. Now, I don't know if he's going to be at the end of the 4th episode or earlier, but and we were talking about kind of expectations for Doctor Who this go round. I hate myself for this, but I'm excited about it. And I wish I wasn't, because I know I'm going to take a kick to the junk later on this. But right now I'm still excited. I'm excited we're going to get 4 specials next year, and that David Tennant is going to be there and Russell T Davies is doing it. I know, but I know the BBC is going to pull the rug out of me or pull the football out before I kick it.
We're the same. We're going with hopefulness, as much positivity as we can possibly find again after the debacle. But we're going with, we're feeling good again, which I didn't personally think I was going to feel again. And I got a little sort of a surprise, because when Shooty turned up in the trailer at the end of the last season's last episode, I was actually like, oh, I had a little flutter then. I thought, oh, I'm actually getting exciting again. I didn't think that was possible again, because I had just, nothing to do with classic Who, because that will never leave. That will just never ever leave.
There's a definite divide for me in watching the show between classic and modern.
Yeah, definitely.
I've decided.
Go ahead.
I've decided I'm going to call it Schrodinger's Doctor Who. We won't know until we open the box.
You're right. It's both awesome and horrible at the same time.
Yeah, Schrodinger's Who. I like it.
Yeah, that's called Pandora's transitioning box. I think that's what we're going to be experiencing.
I like that.
Oh God, are you going to tell me are you transitioning to Pandora's sexual then?
I've seen photographs of the new Rose, who is a daughter.
Damn it! Yeah,
daughter in name only.
I'm
by the way,
not excited about.
Yeah,
is the new Rose, and I don't know. It's because the BBC has to do all this stuff, and it is what it is. It is.
I've got to bring this up for a minute. PJ and
the
Disney.
Wow. That actually sounds like a great idea.
In the tradition of baking, what's it? Baking. What's one of the what's in the brain?
Pinky in the brain.
Pinky in the brain, and Cagney and Lacey represent PJ and the Viking.
That's right. and Jim says, "What are we doing today, PJ?"
Training as always, Jim. Conquer the world. Thank
you. Anyway, I've put the new link out on Twitter, so it gives everybody time. So please share it out to everyone and say, Jim, wake up, you lazy Viking.
Nice.
If you manage to sleep through the fireworks, no one's going to wake him up.
No.
Oh my goodness gracious. So anyway, we were talking about distribution rights with Disney, speaking of Disney Plus and Doctor Who, and the kind of the goods and bads of that. I think Disney needs to, well, because Disney, they're not doing great. They took a big stock drop unsurprisingly this year. They've lost like 12%, which is for them is enormous. And they've already taken a giant dump on Marvel and a giant dump on Star Wars. So they had these two amazing properties and they train wrecked them. So now they're given the opportunity with Doctor Who to take a damaged property, and now it's just distribution right now, but it's not going to stay just distribution. It's like, it's a heroin addict and he's got the kit in front of him. What's he going to do? He's not going to not use it. So can they bring it back? And we talked about it, Colin, it could be bigger than Harry Potter if they do it right.
Did anyone see
Yes.
the one of the what do you call them, wallpaper things that the rabbi did for one of his streams, which was you've got RTD with a handful of money, fanning out a handful of money, and you've got Russ and you've on and filming Doctor Who, and RTD going, never mind Doctor Who, I'm going to spend a week in the brothel.
God. Golly.
Yeah. This was the rabbi. Have you not ever listened to the rabbi?
Oh no, I love the rabbi.
How the heck the rabbi ever get come with Father Miller? I don't know.
No, it's funny because Father Miller is, they're
both great.
He's a very straight-laced dude. The rabbi, on the other hand, he's a wild card. He uses language like a sailor. It's very impressive.
Yeah. I would
Sure,
mention
like,
any other straight laces on the rabbi, but that would be a bit personal.
I don't think Father Miller would appreciate any lace at all, but straight or otherwise.
Well, they do shows together though, which I just think is
they do.
fascinating.
He must be blushing the whole time.
It's like wow. But so no, I do watch the rabbi, and he has some really good takes. He's also excited about Doctor Who coming up. I think we're all. I mean, like I said, I'm going into it with just that feeling. I don't want the disappointment to come, and I don't want it to. I don't want it to. It is, but I think it's gonna. But I don't want it to. I'm going into this one a lot more optimistically. I gave Jodie a fair shake. I wish I could give her a shake. But I watched that first season, and that was quite. I watched the whole first season. I endured the entire thing.
As did we.
And it was quite enough. And then I watched other people's, takes on it. Much the way I watched Kenobi, so that you didn't have to. I let other people watch Doctor Who, so I didn't have to.
We didn't watch the second season. We gave it a chance. And in spite of the fact that, we both fundamentally disagreed with the gender swapping element of it in this particular role, we did want it to succeed. It's like when we started to watch it, we had watched a couple of other things that she'd done. And ironically enough, before her season started, she was in a TV movie called about a fake doctor. I shit you not.
I was going to say that's what I thought was the great thing I heard, was the first thing I heard. I've not seen it or noticed it.
And she was okay in that. We enjoyed that. We
she was also good in was it Broadchurch?
Yeah, we didn't watch that, but I did hear
with David Tennant, but Chibbs was the showrunner on that.
So she spent the last 5 years being a fake doctor, so she got practice.
I know the irony of that was enough to blind you after everything. But the we really wanted it to work, in spite of the fact that, we were willing to give it a chance, and it just for the first time in the history of both of our entire lives, we skipped out then on everything that came after, because it just wasn't the same show for us. And and that was our choice, and that's what we did. We just thought, people are enjoying it, fair play, but no, it just didn't feel like it.
I mean, I suffered through the first series, of hers. I was going to watch. I didn't catch the Christmas Day episode of Skyfall. So what I did was I recorded it. I was going to watch it and then go straight into part 2 when it was on New Year's Day. Didn't bother, just went straight into part 2 of Spyfall. Realised what I thought one particular section I thought was actually going to be latest story was in that episode. And spent the rest of the day thinking, please, even the BBC, don't go where you might go with this. Please don't go with this. And they didn't.
I didn't see that episode, so I didn't even read about that one.
No, because there was reason I'd seen that they had a character coming in there, and I knew this character's story, and I knew where she ended up. And given how that ended Rosa, showing what happened to Rosa Parks, which that bit, fine, no problem. Let's just say that what people complaining about she might have left the master in for did happen to this lady. And all they could do was make the fact, oh, you're the first Muslim. I don't give a damn. But I said, I ended up finishing that episode thinking, thank God they didn't go well I thought they were going to go with that, and didn't bother anymore.
So, yeah, it's... But we did give it a chance. I mean, and that's the thing. I didn't go into Doctor Who with Jody and Chibs wanting to hate it. I gave it a go. I think we all did the same thing, and then we're like, ooh, yikes! What did I step in? I did watch the series finale though, because I wanted to see that, and there were actually a lot of aspects about the season or the series, season finale, her finale. I wish it was her finale. That I thought were good. I liked the old Doctors being brought back. I bought all the nostalgia bait, and I actually enjoyed all that stuff. And I know that's exactly what it was, but I thought it was fun seeing.
And that's okay. That's okay. We watched the final.
And,
we did watch the season finale.
I've managed to resist so far, but I'm getting a feeling I might actually have to watch part of it.
I mean, it's. I mean, as far as moving forward, it's obviously it's irrelevant, and I think what Russell T Davies and the BBC are going to try to do is just. It's like the weird uncle in your family you don't talk about. I think that's what the Jodie era is going to be. You're just not going to talk about it. It's like, let's keep that hidden away.
It will be interesting in 10 years' time to sort of look back and kind of see, and just get that general feel for how bad it really was.
Yeah, and because even series 10, season 10 with Capaldi, which was terrible, was far more palatable than anything during the Chibnall Whittaker era.
Yeah, well, it was elevated by Peter Capaldi, wasn't it?
Yes, he made the show better. I did not like Bill as a companion. I thought she was dreadful. But there were still good. There were good elements in the season, like I said. And Capaldi is always good. He's good in the Devil's Hour, but I didn't dig the Devil's Hour because of the other stuff. The pacing of the Devil's Hour was also something I had a big problem with. So I see in the chat here, Melvin Deeply's talking about tomorrow's episode of The Walking Dead is the finale. That's going to be the end of the show.
I wasn't aware that was even still going.
Oh my God, I never thought watched it. We'd get there. I stopped, not intentionally per se, but I stopped watching right about the time that Samantha Morton's character was sort of about to be taken out. And that was because they put the show on a different network, like it had different access, and then we ended up being a whole year behind.
Oh
because we
yeah.
didn't have that subscription service, and it kind of took me out. Which bothers me a lot, and I hope eventually to feel like going back and finishing watching it, because they were
I,
family. Those
I
characters
think
were
I'm I
family.
think
I
I'm
watched
going
that show.
to we stopped at season 8. We intentionally stopped at season 8 though.
Hmm.
Season 7 is when Negan came on board. And the tone of the show shifted because it's a dark show anyway. Duh.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but you always had that little bit of hope to keep you going.
Yeah.
And I felt when they introduced Negan and the Saviors, his little group, and
Mm.
you just kept getting kicked in the teeth episode after episode, and it
Yeah.
became hard to watch.
Bloody hell.
So once I felt the end of season 8, they actually reached a point where they could have ended the show very well, and you have that hope for the future kind of thing, and it would have been good. And now they've dragged it on for another 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna. It's. I have Netflix again. So
Mhm.
and the episodes are available on there. So I will probably watch seasons 9 and 10, and then eventually season 11 when it wanders over, just so I can have that closure.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many
That's
seasons
kind of.
were there of this thing?
It's season 11 is on now, and that's the last.
So that's
Last
almost supernatural levels. Wow.
But you know what's
Almost
interesting
without
is,
the fun.
but other shows have been on even longer than that. And the thing about this show, as you said, Roman, it's a very dark show. We go on this incredible journey with these characters that we've come to identify with as family, basically. We get really close to them. We experience things vicariously that they're going through. We feel like we've been through something really, really intense with those characters. And it started to get to the stage for us too that it was like, you know what? I would prefer that they end it, and rather than keep on flogging it to the point where it just jumps the shark and it's just tedious, because I have too much respect for these characters. I don't want to see
Right.
them, just completely uh overused, to that degree, because it takes the, it wears your patience a bit thin. um and again, it's a hard show to watch because
Mhm.
it's and to be honest, it's becoming less and less like a fantasy show and more like a reality show.
Well, actually, I use that as an example. Given the current state of things, not just here but kind of globally, uh, we talk about like that when society collapses, it'll The Walking Dead, get rid of the zombies, you have a pretty good I think template of what it's going to look like. You
Yeah.
have the good people and the bad people. The bad
Hmm.
people are going to be strong because they
Hmm.
have nothing that is constraining them anymore.
Mhm.
Laws aren't there anymore, so they are going to do what they want. There's they'll come and they will take your shit, as Negan did.
Yeah.
And it's
That's really
terrifying.
terrifying.
It's a terrifying prospect. I don't want
Yeah.
the world to end that way. Um, there aren't many, positive apocalyptic scenarios, though. It's just they aren't out there. But The Walking Dead scares me in that regard.
Well, that's it. And I think about The Walking Dead is, in the beginning, the zombies were the monsters, but this
Mhm.
series very
Oh, evolve.
expertly shows that the zombies are just in the way. The real monsters are the humans, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it very taxing over a long period of time to watch, because the closer that we see society coming to that kind of a breakdown, then it's no longer escapism, and it comes a little bit too close to, wow, I don't really want to think about this anymore. I want to be prepared. Which is another positive I love about this show, about The Walking Dead, is that it it really, you watch these characters learn how to survive, and it is very educational in that regard, in that it teaches you, not to, take things for granted if you're paying attention. It teaches you to, really learn what's important and how to look after yourself. And it's not something that we want to think about very often, but at the same time, it's been great for that element as well. It was expertly told, but as you said, as the show's gone on, I liked. I'm a big fan of the Negan character, but that's down to, it's not the character's traits that I'm a fan of. It's the actor that portrayed the character.
I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's a great
Jeffrey Dean
actor.
Morgan is freaking awesome as Negan. I mean, and I'm such a Negan fan because of him. I've got Lucille. I've got the replica Lucille. I've got like
wow.
But
so Wendology has a dark side, everyone, in case you weren't aware of that already.
I suspect that's probably a character whose name you have to say very carefully.
So not 3 times.
Well, not no, just
nor when you've been drinking.
Pronounce it very,
easy, lemon
pronounce
squeeze.
it very carefully. Remember, there's an E in there, not an I.
Oh Lord.
Nice.
Help. So Walking Dead is coming to a close. That's you've talked me into it, Melvin. I'm gonna start watching season 9 because I haven't. Like I said, I stopped after 8.
I've never seen The Walking Dead, and I'm not going to bother. What I've been hearing.
No, I can't believe 11 years or something. No thanks. We're not bothering in the first place.
And their seasons aren't as long as like Supernatural. Supernatural has long seasons. It's like 24 episodes a season.
Yeah.
And then you've got 15 years worth of that. I think Walking Dead, isn't it like 13, 14? Am I wrong? I don't remember. It's been that long since I've seen the show.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I know they're not 24 episode seasons. So, and I know they talked about doing films. And actually, I heard Jeffrey Dean Morgan said that they're doing another spinoff of him and Maggie, like going to New York or something. But I don't know enough about that to talk about it at length. This is just I have heard
I've heard some whisperings of some spin-offs and things. And I'm done. I love these characters so much that I don't want to see any more of them. Wow. I just want them to have a good final page written about them, close the book, and let and appreciate them as characters that we did love. I don't want to keep dragging it out. Enough.
No, Graham, no, Miranda, I don't think there was a spin-off with Daryl. What was his name? What was Rick's friend that he met in the first episode? The African-American fellow.
Oh, Morgan. Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah, Morgan.
Morgan, yeah, because he ended up on Fear the Walking Dead, which was one of the spin-offs. Indeed.
Which we started watching as well.
I started watching it. It never grabbed me. It didn't give me the same vibe. And I wanted it to, and it just never. And then there's like the Beyond, I think is the third one that's out there.
And that's with a younger set of people or something like that. I had a little look at that one as well. We did watch quite a fair bit of Fear the Walking Dead, but again trailed off on that one. That was it. The concept was still working for me then, but we've been zombied to death now for a while, so
yeah,
I think that's the risk.
No, that happens. They run in waves. You have all the vampire movies, and then the zombies came, and then the United States elected Frankenstein as a United States senator.
So when is the creature from the Black Lagoon going to get elected?
I would have taken him over
up until about season 10. It's 16 episodes per, and then it jumps to like 22 and 24.
Yeah, Carol Jude said that this one has 24 episodes. That's a lot of Walking Dead.
That's a lot of misery, as Carol said.
The initial couple of seasons though were just under 10 or 11.
Okay, and that's what I remember because we used to watch it. My brain is not working right. Back in the day, we would get, for whatever reason, the East Coast feed, so we could watch Walking Dead at like 6:00. And then Talking Dead would come on after, and that was always so much fun. And then, depending on how good the episode was, we would watch it again at 9:00. And we would, like, every Sunday, it was an event in our house. We had the kids had their friends over. I had friends over. We'd make a big meal. And it was like watching the football game, because we hate football, American football, for our friends in the UK. We're not sports fanatics, but The Walking Dead, it was that level of fun.
Oh yeah, it was serious.
The Strain, Melvin Deeply's bringing up The Strain. That was a good show. That was, again, did anybody else see that one?
No, I'm
I
afraid,
think I've never heard of it, and I think I may have actually, I may possibly need to apologise to Miranda for that. I thought she missed the word out.
Oh,
I thought she missed out the word Andromeda, which I didn't.
Oh, no, different.
No,
This is about vampires.
No, I never heard of this one, so.
That does sound good. That does sound up, like something I would definitely be interested in.
I think it was 3 seasons. Am I right on that, Melvin? I think there were 3 seasons, and it was a fun show. It also had a very apocalyptic feel, but it was different.
46 episodes according to IMDb. 4 seasons, 46 episodes.
Oh, of The Strain?
Yeah, according to IMDb.
Okay. And I buy that. I did see the finale, so I made it all the way through the show. What just happened?
I think we've got a new person on. Who could it be? Do we have names?
We are taking bets right now.
Someone actually broken up.
Oh,
it's Kelly. Hey,
really?
Hey.
Trying to figure out how to use this.
Yes, you can upload a nice little icon. You have a little avatar.
It should have a blank one.
Upload that.
It should have.
We've got a new person on.
Yay, you made it.
Right. First, Kelly, mute your tab with YouTube on.
Yes. You can upload.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. There you go.
Please excuse me.
Well, congratulations on being the free country of Florida.
Yes.
Everybody's coming to Florida.
Yeah,
I would go to Florida we've that's on our list. We have a list of 3 other states that we're looking at if I can ever get out of the People's Republic of California. And Florida is high on that list. The only thing I don't like about Florida, I did live there very early on in my Navy career for about a year. Actually, there's 2 things: the humidity and the absurd size of the insects. They're not like regular size bugs. They're like this big, and they talk to you, and it's terrifying. That was the first. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I never lived in Florida, but I visited a few times when I was younger, and waking up to a spider the size of my fist in the room pretty much put that right off my list.
Methodology. Now I know what to get you for Christmas, Wendy.
Oh my God.
Yes, Wen and the spider. She's not a fan of spider. In fact, so my son Jacob of the Empire and I were out on the patio last night. This is the second night in like a week that we had to go on a spider killing spree. For some reason, they're everywhere, and they're giant. They're not fist big, but they're big enough. And we're out there and we just spray. And I don't know what other kind of insects are going to come now because I've taken out the predator.
You created Godzilla, basically.
Yes. So it's fine. So Kelly, are you with us?
I don't know.
Your sound is with us.
I hear you.
You're standing in the dark, but you're with us.
Yeah. some reason
I
it's not
can't
even a.
seem to access chat.
Yeah, it's in the comment box.
Yeah, I see that, but it won't let me type anything.
No, you're not allowed to do it on because you're not a part of the channel.
No. What you'll have to
Okay.
do, you'll
You have
have
to
to keep the YouTube open in
Yeah.
another window, but muted. Then you. That's what I was doing because I can. But if
Yeah,
I
that's what I
post in
do.
here, it shows up as FFSI. So if I want to put it as me, that's why I was typing into chat.
Got it. Okay.
Ta-da!
Woohoo.
Don't worry, Kelly. It's trial and error, but you get used
That's
to it
right.
after a while.
That's right.
And it still won't let me upload my photograph.
Yeah,
You have to
it's
stop
weird.
camera for that.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
you
for
do.
some reason there's not even anything. There's not even a blank thing showing up there unless it's
Well,
just my connection.
she's actually running on her camera. I was having issues
I
with my
told it
camera.
not to, but what do I know?
I was
No,
having
you just go
issues
to
with
the
my
box
camera
down the bottom,
before.
say stop camera. Yeah.
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 Always block camera.
This is live, folks. This is what you get.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, refunds are available.
See, first PJ's not here, then our Viking abandoned us, then Kelly invades, and here we are.
Oh,
Well,
she's.
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Kelly made it.
Yeah.
Kelly made it during the week as well.
I
gotta
did what?
say.
You made it. Was it Wednesday? You made it.
No,
No,
last Saturday.
It was last Saturday, was it? I know you
After
made it
hours.
on. Yeah.
I was at the after hours party.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, today's Monday.
Also, I have to
Don't.
say, the bottom row is now all former New Yorkers.
You got that
Just
right.
saying. Just saying.
Hope the world can handle it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I noticed you said former New Yorkers there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you're always a New
three of
Yorker.
Of the 4 Americans on the panel, one of you is Californian, and 3 of you are former New Yorkers. That says something about New York. I'm not quite sure what.
No,
Well,
once you're New York, you're always New York.
I will
You
say
cannot
this
take
though.
the girl out of New York. I mean, rather New York out of the girl.
Correct.
Kelly took the traditional route of most New Yorkers and moved
Moving
to
to
Florida.
Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, but usually that happens like at the age of 70, 75, right?
Exactly.
Well,
It
the
was
way I
a
looked
classic
at it-
retirement trope.
The way I looked at it is that I beat my
Ta-da!
cohort. I beat my
Kelly's
cohort
live.
to my retirement home.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Hey,
Completely legit.
I must.
Kelly,
I look forward to one day being an ex-Californian, but here I am.
Wow.
There was an old donkey's
yeah.
years ago now. Alistair MacLean wrote many books, lots of which made films such as Guns of Navarone and Where Eagles Dare. But he wrote one of his not quite so well-known ones, but it's called Goodbye California.
Mhm.
And as I remember right, doesn't actually happen, but the plot for that involves someone actually wanting to set off some nukes in the San Andreas Fault. So I'm thinking
That's a bit extreme.
no, do that and just like we'll do that. We'll let California drift away into the Pacific. We'll send in the SEALs or someone to rescue Rome and the likes, and leave California to its own.
See, it's not the thing about California is it's not all terrible.
Yeah.
You have
It's
San Francisco, which is a nightmare now. Unfortunately, Stephen lives in the other, the other not.
Yeah, I would like to say that
it's not
San
awesome.
Francisco is probably a hell of a lot worse than Los Angeles. And I was just on another channel. Don't believe the hype. Okay, I speak to a lot of people firsthand, whoever I can talk to on the subject, and there's a lot more conservative or at least libertarian attitude on the street. But some of these concepts in politics are just locked in by such gigantic amounts of money that it's going to take a trend for this to really break. But it's been a liberal state for a long, long time. It's just that the liberals that are liberals now are maniacs.
Yes.
Well, I was watching.
Leftist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was I was watching one or two. I can't think who it was, but one or two American channels. I think it was an American. It might even actually been one of the British ones that covers it. But when they've got maps, and the maps of what have gone where, and they've got the maps down to the state level. So, so I come to the conclusion: what you guys need to do, you need to peacefully, and no, I won't try to remember that quote because I'll probably get accused of being orange. You need to decide, okay, your next civil war, your next secession. Let's not use the word because we don't know. Basically, it's quite simple. What you need to have is you need to have your cities are one set of states, and everywhere else outside that is other sets of states. Because all the maps I saw, the cities all seem to be blue, and everywhere outside the cities nearly all seem to be
I was
red.
noticing that in Georgia and in Arizona, that seems to be the case. It's really
all the
crazy.
ones I was seeing, which struck me as, I have to admit, when I first heard about your electoral college system, I thought, well, hold on a minute. So what you're saying then is that it's not majority.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not the majority. That it's not straight up majority.
God knows we need that electoral college.
Yeah.
Without
but then it makes more sense
we're doomed.
when you turn around and see that. It makes more sense to the way your pop.
You popped out, Colin.
Also, I say it makes a bit more sense the way you're, because we've got a system of straight up first past the post. That's it. It makes a little bit more sense when you understand that your population, because of the way it's spread, you would effectively get a situation where 49% of your population is never represented if you went straight out number votes.
Also just think about how hard it's been to count the votes in places like Arizona and Georgia and Pennsylvania. Florida got 21 million people. We are the third largest state. We overtook, the three of ours home state of New York in the last census. And we found out that night who won.
Yes. Why is that? Why is Florida able to accomplish this?
Well,
because
Florida.
Because in 2000, there was a massive issue in Florida, and they changed the game in Florida.
I remember that. Yeah.
Also, tell me something. I'm not sure we have much, but with this mail-in early, etc., all the rest of it,
it's the worst.
Yeah, but what one said is, do those ballots get locked away, untouched until election day, and they get counted on election day?
Well, the more important point, Colin, is that they get counted first. And that's why we're seeing these crazy numbers in states like Arizona, where it appears that the Democrats are ruling the vote. But they haven't even begun. There's still 25% uncounted in Arizona. And they just took the weekend off.
Well, I said that's something that made me wonder, because I thought if I can sort of see the argument both ways, that yes, voting is on Tuesday, right? The day you vote is Tuesday. So no, we don't count any of the votes until Tuesday. That's when we start counting. For security purposes, I can sort of understand that. But then the other thing is, if you can start counting votes, say midnight Monday.
Yeah.
If you've got a night shift, if you like, that can start counting the postal votes that you've already received, then some of those are already counted before you bring the others in. But I don't know. It seems to be
you're being far too rational, Colin. Far too rational.
Actually, they need to get rid of mail-in voting. That needs to be limited very specifically to military members who are
out of the country.
No, out of the country though. You couldn't. You wouldn't have to do it. If there's a base, you can make a polling place, and they can go there and vote at it. They could. On the ship, you're kind of stuck. There's obviously not that. You don't have that ability. And to the infirm, the elderly, but you should have to request it. It shouldn't be something that automatically happens. And voting shouldn't last for several days. It should be that day only. It shouldn't be this weeks-long process. And that's how our election process has been so tainted and corrupted over these last few years. It's not the way it was meant to be. And it gives a definite advantage to one side over the other, because one
Oh,
side really likes to fiddle with the numbers, shall we say.
Well, the other thing that got me is that when they said that, again, I think in Arizona in particular, that there was a lot of votes that were, quote, postal, I think was it, that actually were, the people actually filled it and then came in and dropped them in, suggesting that they don't actually trust the postal system.
Yeah.
Which is also sort of another sort of Melvin, I don't know, mate. I mean, looking at the way things are going in this country, I'm not sure how much difference it makes. I mean, is it a case of, you vote in and then they do what they can? The thing is that strikes me also is that we've got a linguistics problem. There is not one country in the world today that I'm aware of that is a democracy. In my lifetime, we have had 2 democratic votes in the United Kingdom. They were called referendum. We don't vote for our laws, we vote for our lawmakers. And I believe the technical political term for that is an elective oligarchy, in that we vote for the people that make the laws, but we don't actually vote for the laws. Do you know where the phrase roping someone in on red lining came from?
No, I've never heard the expression.
Yeah, me neither.
In Greece, you used to have, when there was a vote, you used to have slaves go out in pairs with a rope between them, and it was painted red, and they literally used to go, if people who hadn't voted, they literally stood either side of them and literally pulled them in, and there was a red mark around the back, which is where you literally roped people in to vote, because there were so few people voted. They literally voted on almost every law, pretty much every law they voted on. Whereas nowadays, as I say, we vote for our quote leaders, unquote. Yes, exactly, Brad. We have indirect democracy. I seem to recall the technical term I heard years ago was elective oligarchy. But
there's an interesting event.
Either. We're not.
There's an interesting event that occurred in Pennsylvania where the population voted in a person that quite literally is no longer with us. Yeah. And what that basically proves is that nobody's actually looking anymore. They see color. No.
That was
and
Stephen, that was because of early voting, and first, I don't know why his name was still there, but it doesn't matter. That was early voting issues, though. That's how the dead guy got elected. He died in a car crash. Very recently. But
odd you should say that, but I know of. I'm trying to see who mentioned it earlier on, because my brain is completely switched off already. But a lot of what I know, a lot of what I think I know, and I'll be honest about this, or until recently, about the American voting system comes from 2 sources. The bad comes from First Lensman, and the relatively good about the voting and your politics, your system comes from the West Wing. And on 2 occasions in the West Wing, they had storylines where somebody was voted in dead. Well, they had one where I think it was a congressman died before the ballot, but because of the system, they couldn't actually change it, and he actually won. And the other one they had was that one of the main characters was elected vice president, but because the actor passed away during filming, they actually had his character die off. And in fact, they actually changed. Originally, they were supposed to lose the election. Originally, Jimmy Smits was supposed to lose the election and not become president, Bail Organa. But when John Spencer passed away, apparently they rewrote it. But they had that again, similar situation where the vice president elect died, and that caused a bit of an interest. See it happening again. How much of that did you lose?
I just said the last couple of words.
Yeah,
it was a real world situation that occurred, and I only heard this passing secondhand. Yeah. But the Attorney General under George W. Bush lost his local election to a dead man. That's how unpopular he was in his own state. And I don't remember the name of that guy, but there are
I don't remember
historical
whose age he was.
moments where these people are just not very popular, and so unpopular that they chose a dead guy over this person. So who knows? But
Well,
I
somehow
wanted
they
to
did the
bring
same
this
thing
to
in
a
Pennsylvania, except he was a resurrected dead guy.
nice.
I'm just gonna keep going on that one.
So, to be honest, though, thinking about it, you say that, but what happens? What's going to happen where this person sadly passed away before they could be elected? Does that automatically trigger a re-election?
They'll have to have a special election. That's
I would
something
imagine
that
that's
does happen.
if you don't vote, if the guy that you vote for dies, then if you still vote for him, that is a vote against the other guy, which means that someone else is going to have to stand against presumably the other guy.
Yes,
So
yeah, because the other guy doesn't automatically. It's not like the other guy automatically gets it because the
exactly.
one cat died.
Right.
So special election. Although our elections have been, our state of government is more House of Cards American version than West Wing these days. And did anybody else watch that series, or was it just me?
I never watched either, to be quite honest.
No.
Didn't watch those.
It was, man, Kevin Spacey, before all the things came out, it was such a good show. I forget how many seasons it lasted. Its primary seasons were brilliant. And then its final season, when they took him off, they had the character die. It was terrible because they didn't do a good job with it. They obviously didn't have a lot of time for writing because, and it was a shame because the show was so good up until it went off the cliff.
Yeah.
And the way it had ended in season 3 or 4, you'll have to forgive me because I don't remember. Didn't lend it. It was just, it would have been a non-ending. And it's like the show gets canceled and you're stuck in this, what the hell? But they probably could have wrapped it up in, say, an episode or 2 instead of trying to squeeze out a full season and done it better. But whatever, it is what it is. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman since the 90s, passed away yesterday. So did Gallagher, but I didn't care about Gallagher. So
I saw that.
Forgive me, the ghost of Gallagher. But Kevin Conroy, I cared about that. That's yes. Man, such a loss.
Yeah.
That is the voice.
I checked the timings, and I never actually. I don't think I actually saw any of the Batman animated episodes, but I was in my 30s when it started. I was in my 20s to 30s when it started. So,
anybody who's a fan of Batman that has never even watched a single episode of the Batman animated series will absolutely adore it across the board. It's some of the most genuine Batman ever made.
Yeah.
Is he the one that they keep getting saying the gravelly? I am Batman. The gravelly voice. Is that where that one comes? Is that where that I'm Batman?
No, it's not Kevin a gravelly voice. He's a genuine character. There's nothing like put on about him, and he wanders. His Bruce Wayne almost sounds like a different person.
Yes, he did a great job. Yeah, did a great job with that.
And Mark Hamill is the Joker in the show. Yes. It's the best Joker ever brought to screen. And the movies are all good too. The animated
features are very good. And the Justice League was also very good.
And there's a spin-off series called Batman Beyond, which was extremely well executed as well.
I've heard of a lot of these, but I don't know.
They're so good.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy, age 66, died of cancer. And man, I just think of all the lost potential. I mean, the man could have been doing it for another 10 years, and it's just.
Well, I was going to say, sorry, Steve. What I was going to say.
No, go ahead, Alec.
He may be gone, but his voice will still live on forever.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
He was born November the 30th. So he was just a few weeks away from turning 67. And somebody brought up this crazy, ironic point that his age is the same year that that the Batman live action TV series came out. It just seems like a weird, interesting earmark of coincidence. I'm a believer in some forms of coincidence, not all of them, but that's an odd one. That seems to be a bit of an odd one, because we remember Batman in two forms: the original '67 and the animated series. Both of them long running, both of them iconic.
Yeah, I mean, the man did it's 2022 now. And the man started doing the voice. I think it was 1992 when that show premiered, if my brain
and he
is
did
remembering
all
correctly.
of the Arkham. He did all of the Batman
the
Arkham
games yes.
too. I mean, I know some younger people out there that know him from that and discovered the animated series after the fact.
Yeah, my son grew up with that voice. And that's the voice I hear in my head when I read a Batman comic. That is instantly where it goes, is Kevin Conroy's voice.
And
I'm very sad by this, by his loss. Whose channel is this we're occupying right now?
There's something I wanted to bring up that's been that's kind of getting my eyeballs going crazy. Kelly,
Yes.
when I originally saw your avatar, your button there, I thought it was a Snoopy pillow.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah,
and me.
But it's not a Snoopy pillow. It's a pillow with a doggy on top that ironically looks like Snoopy's head. It's so crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know it is? It's like pattern recognition. When you see it at a smaller size, it does look like Snoopy.
That's so funny. That's funny.
I know. Yeah,
adorable.
I remember you talking about him. Oh, bless him.
Her name was Lucy.
Lucy.
And she was a toy fox terrier that we unofficially rescued. And she was the best dog ever. I mean, if you look over at my name on the chat, that's her and her big sister Emma. And then they both left us. They both crossed over the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I still think of them daily. And then we've got a new little toy fox terrier named Lizzie.
Oh.
And the similarities between Lucy and Lizzie do get confusing. But what happened was the breeder had a dog named Izzy. And we didn't like the name Izzy. But she was 9 months old and didn't want to confuse her by changing her name. So we called her Lizzie. And she's wonderful too, but Lucy still holds a place in my heart.
Adorable.
Oh, they always do. They all do.
Oh, yes.
Oh, without question. I mean, there's dogs the dog I grew up with, her name was Tina, and I still dream about her. She was awesome. She helped raise us. That's what my mother tells me.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. They do.
She was a border collie, so she almost literally helped raise us.
Oh yeah. They like to organize and round things up.
Oh yeah, she would have my brother by the cuff of his jeans and just around the house. She was bigger than he was for a few years, so yeah.
Well, my late mother used to say that when my sister and I were kids, our dog Trixie, she reckoned she could tell when we were coming down with something.
Oh,
she could sense if we were going to be sick or something.
Yeah.
And I know if we used to play fight with Dad, she always used to come in and fight Dad off for us.
Well, dogs now, there's dogs who are being used to sniff out cancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's dogs being used to, believe it or not, sniff out COVID.
Their senses are so highly developed.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, there's people who have diabetes have dogs so that the dogs can let them know when it's time to take their insulin.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's unbelievable what they can do.
Well, I remember. I mean, as someone who is anosmic, so I have no idea. I have absolutely no reference whatsoever to the word sense of smell.
Really?
Yes. But I remember being told that a dog's, or reading something, that a dog's sense of smell is something like 40 times as good as a humans, and I think
Now,
something
it's-
along the lines of if you count the if you laid out the area of the nose given to smell or something like this, in a human being it would be a handkerchief, in a dog it would be a bed sheet. As an example, just how much more sensitive their sense of smell is than ours, because we've evolved not to need it.
right.
Hmm.
Dogs are pretty amazing. Well, I know cats. Cats is pretty good too. Just they don't. Cats are harder to train than dogs.
Yeah.
Cats don't care.
Yeah.
A cat's gonna do what a cat's gonna do.
Cats. We do not train cats. They train us.
Exactly.
They train us,
That's
and
right.
ours have
Feed
us
me,
very
pick
well
up my
trained.
poop.
Yeah. Food now.
Yeah.
Get up.
Dog's more like you come home and it looks you and like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're home. And the cat's like, what do you bring me?
Yes. Yes, you're not wrong.
Ours actually come running down the corridor when we come in. If we've been out, particularly if we've been out, they all come running down like little doggies. They come down, they look in, stick. One cat sticks his head in all the bags, all the shopping bags. Gotta go look and see what's in the bag. Anything for me.
Nice. I will note in fairness towards cats that one of the reasons that I understood historically why the Egyptians worshipped the cat was because they always clean up after themselves. They clean themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They dispose of their stuff. They put it off in another place. They buried it in the ground. There was something just clean about them. It kind of like what Lawrence says in Lawrence of Arabia. He's like, when asked about the desert, he's like, why do you like the desert? He says it's very clean. There's no mud, there's no moisture, there's no fungus, nothing. It's very dry and clean. So
that's an interesting concept. Yeah. Well, cats are clean, but they also like the sound of things breaking. So
yes, they're mischievous,
as we found out. But
well, like Loki. Loki's very clean, but he likes to destroy things.
It's fun. It's fun.
So Loki is a cat.
Loki season 2, right?
And
that's
Thor
a great
is a dog.
name for that's a great name for a cat, Loki.
Yeah,
love it.
It's funny you should say that. One of my friends in my reenactment group has got a new dog, and that's called Loki.
Nice, brilliant. It is.
We're actually bouncing around potential dog names for somewhere in the distant future when we should acquire another. It's still way too soon for us to do that.
Yeah.
The Misses of the Empire still likes to look at golden retriever and lab sites. She's like, oh, look at this one. He's so cute. I'm like, honey, you told me we're not allowed to get one. She's like, I know, but I just like to look.
Hey, shopping.
Now you're channeling Marge Simpson when you're talking about.
I know.
No, that's what Mrs. of the Empire sounds like. We're if we get the boy dog, what the hell was Lord of the Rings? Help,
Frodo?
Dear God, no, the man, Boromir. Boromir.
Boromir,
We're looking at that, maybe, and then if the boy dog, and if it's a girl dog,
Galadriel.
No, that's we like Rosie. We like the Hobbit. Like our golden retriever who passed a couple of years back, his name was Strider. And then our last dog was named after the author Flannery O'Connor, so her name was Flannery. But we're going to get back to the Lord of the Rings theme. We had our temporary golden retriever. I say temporary because he was an asshole and he kept attacking our chocolate labs, which is weird. But anyway, so he had to go live his best life in Arizona. But we named him Doctor after, for Doctor Who. So it's a theme.
What about Pippin? Pippin
is good. Pippin, Mrs. of the Empire also likes Gimli. She thinks that's a fun name.
Oh, yeah.
But he'd have to be short.
Gimli would be good for an Irish setter because the coloring.
Weird.
God. Hey, I wanted to bring this up in the chat. Jacob Ironside just brought up that there was an air show just recently where two World War II aircraft collided in midair. One was a B-17.
Oh my goodness gracious.
God.
That must have been just a total disaster. You know,
Yeah.
God bless
That
the
is
families.
horrible.
Oh, bless.
Hopefully
Man.
nobody was injured on
Well,
the
yeah.
grounds.
Yeah.
Hopefully the guys all survived. Whoever was piloting.
Oh
Colin,
my
keep us up.
God.
Well, if
Jake,
they
keep us
collided,
updated.
probably not, because
Yeah,
that's
probably
not
not.
that's not something went wrong with the aircraft and you have time to ditch it and jump.
Right.
That's very upsetting. That's very
Oh,
upsetting.
where was that air show?
In Texas, he was saying.
Oh,
Man.
The only thing is, I would think the thing is, it was in. I don't
You're
know. You're
bumped,
not.
Cal.
We don't know what the other plane was, but I would imagine that you probably only got pilot and co-pilot or flight deck crew on the bomber rather than a full.
Right. The second aircraft was probably a fighter style, so a single pilot or maybe two, but I don't know. Keep us
just
updated,
looking on
please.
the
That's
CNN
terrible.
website now.
That is unfortunate.
It was
You know, if you with a dog like named Boromir,
Mhm.
you know, one does not simply just replace a dog.
No,
hold on.
It's actually, that's very, very true.
You-
because,
you
like I
got-
said, go ahead, Colin.
Okay, you got to go one further than that one. Of course, I just remember that when you of course. No, if you call him Boromir, he'll never make it out alive out of any series.
I'm not naming him Sean Bean.
Come on.
Sean Bean, come here.
If you're going to name it after Sean Bean character, name him Sharp. At least Sharp is still alive.
He has made a career out of epic death scenes, I swear. Like everything from James Bond to Lord of the Rings.
And he's such a good actor. I mean,
I know. He just called him Kenny.
Nice thing about Sean Bean, though, is he is in a lot of stuff, which is great. Unlike, like, say, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, we were talking about him a little bit earlier. I think he's a horribly underutilized actor.
He is.
He's in almost nothing. Oh my fucking sorry. That's just me knocking over one of the many computers in the of the Empire Studios, kids.
Fantastic.
Sorry. So Jeffrey Dean, I talk with my hands. That's the other problem. I'm amazed I don't knock more things
That's
over.
right. Italian of the Empire.
Yes, it's what we do. It's what we do. So he had the run on Walking Dead, of course, and he's been there for a long time now. And he was on Supernatural for a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm going to sidetrack myself because I'm going to forget what I was talking about. But they have that Supernatural spinoff coming out soon. Mm-hmm. It's going to be it's the Winchesters. The parents. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I feel very good about it.
Are they also supposed to be doing a prequel to Walker, a character who in the reboot is played by one of the Winchesters?
Oh, he is in Sam.
Jared Padalecki.
Yeah.
Is in Walker.
I can never remember which is which, but yeah, I was going to say because I had to read that.
And I've not watched any of those. I didn't have an interest in that show, so I didn't watch it.
No, I'm just thinking.
But Sam. What's the other actor's name?
Jensen Ackles.
Thank you.
I'm a little bit upset, maybe.
I appreciate the assistance because I don't have room up here anymore. Was in season 3 of The Boys as Soldier Boy.
That's right.
Man,
yeah,
he was great. He made the season for me. I like The Boys anyway, and yes, there is a lot of peppering of woke stuff, but it's still a really enjoyable show to watch. They haven't soured it to the point where it's unwatchable like nearly anything Marvel. You all went out to see Black Panther this weekend, right?
No, I'm not a racist.
That's right. You were instructed not to go see the movie this weekend.
I'm showing my support for my black brothers by not going to see the film.
I'm not going because, yes,
I'm going to be showing it so much I'm not going to go and see it at all.
That is one of the dumbest things anybody has racist ever said to potential audience members. Don't go this weekend because if you do, you're racist. All right, fine. I'm not going at all. So there, I've made myself safe from racism in November.
That and the fact that I've actually seen several sets of reviews over the weekend, and all of them have been exactly the same.
Not good. Not good. And to me, that's a film. I know we've jumped like 7 topics here. that's a film that shouldn't have been made. It didn't really need to be made. There wasn't a lot of point to it, other than you wanted to get, Chadwick died. That's very tragic. You could have let that lie for a lot longer than shoving this movie out, doing a really half-assed memorial part of the film, and then jumping into chaos so you can throw a girl boss in the suit, and now you get also Riri Williams as Ironheart, another character no one cares about.
Has anybody actually read
back to 1522, my friends?
The reason being, and I haven't read most of the comics for 20-30 years. I read some bits and pieces, but I have the impression in my head that the character of Riri Williams is a young teenager.
Yes,
13 to 14.
Yeah, she's young. I don't know exactly, but yeah, she's a teenager.
Which is why I made my comment about, okay, so Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the film that advertises kidnapping young girls and transport human trafficking young black girls halfway across the planet. But in some one review, I saw I think they were quoting from a paper, said the character was 19 in the film.
Oh, I don't know the answer, and I probably won't know the answer because
unfortunately, this being Hollywood, this being Hollywood woke suggests to me that they've aged her up quite possibly for a reason. Now, I wonder what the difference is between a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old female. Can't think of anything myself.
Again, the big deal with this is I literally just she's going to have her own series on Disney Plus, and I also don't care. I don't care. I'm not even going to hate watch that one. I care so little about this character. I can't even bring myself to hate watch. Same thing with Marvels. When that movie comes out with Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel, I don't care. Marvel's gotten me to the point where I'm completely apathetic about a lot of these things. Some things like She-Hulk, I watched. That was a hate watch, and I knew it was going to be a hate watch.
Yeah, I had heard something crazy. I haven't seen any of the side picks. I've been just watching the local Fellowship commentary on the subject. But it's my understanding that the Ironheart that appears in Wakanda Forever decided to engineer her hairstyle onto the helmet.
Yeah. Well,
Mother of God.
All I will say is I've seen pictures, and yes, there are as a medievalist, there are some rather unusual looking flutings on the helmet, which could indeed match cornrows. Further than that, no, it's not. But yes, and it has been understandably, it is having the urinary tract extracted from it at great length. How much that is it really is to do that, I don't know. Because actually,
Identity Baby represent,
Yeah.
What? Also, her armor in the film is very, and I'm no expert in Ironheart. Please, I don't want to be mistaken as one, but her armor is very different in the film than it is in the comic book.
Right.
I mean, she's a technology thief in the comic book.
Yeah.
But in the film, what I've seen just doesn't. I mean, it looks bad. Bad. It doesn't even look like a reasonable representation of stolen Iron Man armor. It just looks like crap.
If you want some vintage American rant on the subject, check out Mexican Iron Man on Latino Slants channel doing a direct out of the theater rant on the subject.
Wow.
He goes on for 5 minutes, and it sounds like it was scripted, because he talks about the Latino population, how his ancestors are basically the ancestors of the character of Submariner in this movie, and he talks about how it's an insult to the Latino people. This whole film where they talk about him being a wuss in comparison, it is epic. I highly recommend to check it out.
I saw
That sounds like it's worthwhile. I actually forgot, Stephen, until you just mentioned that. I completely forgot that Namor was in this film because what I've seen is not Namor. That is not Namor. That looks nothing like Namor, nor is that his history. They made up a character and called him Namor. That is not Namor.
It's sub 25% different trademark Namor.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
The only good thing about all of this, though, is that that she was allowed. I forget her name or even the character that she plays in the movie. But the idea that she was under political pressure to drop out completely. I'm talking about the sister of
I don't
Black
know the actress's
Panther.
name.
Oh, she
was under massive political assault not that long ago, and they kept her in the film and made her the hero of the story. And supposedly she's really solid. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag of goodness and badness. But I haven't heard anything good about it. Yeah,
all the reviewers who I've seen, right? And again, I'm probably going to just live vicariously through them on this one.
Yeah.
I understand the Rotten Tomato score is just ridiculously out of proportion. I think 95%
Rotten
is the critical score.
No, it's stupid. They do that. Critics do that with movies they think has the certain message that they want out there. They don't.
Again, voting blindly.
But the audience score is the one that you really need to look at, because that's the one. Like Doctor Who had a high critic score, but like negative numbers for an audience score, because the critics, they love the messaging and the representation, and the audience was like, nah, this is crap. You're trying to sell us.
And they rank those results too. So the audience score is a groomed audience score. That they eliminate some numbers in those.
Oh no, you're right.
Find offensive.
Captain Marvel. We can go back to Captain Marvel. That's where Rotten Tomatoes lost all credibility. Because they scrubbed the shit out of Captain Marvel. And they'll do it again. And they actually changed their entire system because of that movie, because it met with such negative reaction from the fans, the people who you're supposed to be making these movies for.
Yeah. Well, I was watching, the last one I watched this afternoon was Dave Cullen did a group, and he was saying that actually some of the bits are actually quite respectful for, quite good and quite respectful of Chadwick Boseman, may God rest him. But I mean, he said he came up with it on the top of his, almost on the top of his head. He came up with a much, but apparently he dies off screen of an unspecified virus of unknown origin.
I know, it's ridiculous.
So, and he tells Shuri 5 minutes later she's 30% of the way to getting a cure when he dies. Yeah. But as he said,
I'm going to have to go off screen to hang myself now that I've heard this.
Oh, nice.
Look at this one. Dave Cullen come up with as he said, with a much better one, especially given that Chadwick Boseman's, the Black Panther's costume includes a complete face covering mask. You bring in some, if there's unused lines, reusable lines and footage from earlier movies, bring him in. As soon as he gets in the costume, you don't, the face is covered. You just have him go out and you have him fight a threat and you have him die heroically.
Yes.
But apparently they kill him up because Chadwick Boseman, they kill him off screen apparently. But sorry, folks. I probably should say spoilers from what I've heard, not from what I've seen. But the entire storyline is over.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that he dies in the film. How he dies is now much worse than I ever thought it would be. That's crap. That's crap writing.
But
wow.
I mean, and it's so thoroughly diverse that Martin Freeman's back as the token white colonizer as well.
Martin Freeman, that man has no self-respect, dude.
Well, apparently that's how Shuri refers to his character, as my favorite colonizer.
Oh, excellent! That's fantastic. That brings the audience in, folks.
Yeah. Well, the great thing was I saw on someone else's stream I was watching, and apparently they're talking about doing spin-offs. One of which is an origin movie for, I think, the one that's the lead bald warrior. And I said, origin movie when a man and a woman love each other very much. Because she's not a superhero or anything. She's the head of the the Dora Milaje or whatever. But I said, do you know the Black Panther kind of spin-off I really, really want to see? I want to see the historical 300 years ago where they go down to Dahomey and talk to King Gazo and the Warrior Queen. The female king. I want to see them do that. I want to see Wakanda. I want to see them explain why Wakanda allowed all that to happen.
Wow. You can't do that. You can't do that because that's a very narrative wrecking kind of thing, Colin. What are you thinking?
What you mean? You mean the fact that apparently Wakanda had space age technology or advanced technology back when the Roman Empire was still about,
Right.
And yet they still allowed everything that happened in Africa over the next 2,000 years to happen by their inaction. Yeah, so such a really empowering story, that isn't it?
I feel empowered just from hearing all this.
I mean, thanks, Stephen. I'll definitely have to check that one out. What gets me is that I think it seems in a lot of these things there are some really potentially interesting stories that they just don't seem to be able to tell,
right? Because
they are so stuck in a particular narrative that they must have. I mean, every single, from what I've seen, when people started calling it, I don't know if it was Gary that started, whoever started the calling it the MCU.
Yeah, that was Gary.
That was before I think nearly any movie came out. Right. And they've just lived up to it. As far as I can see, every single movie, every single
that started
show.
with Captain Marvel, Colin. Yeah. That's when that tagline came to be.
Phase 4 the MCU seems to have two aims: drive down viewers and get rid of every single male character and replace them with female characters. Not bring up, not bring on female characters, not have the freedom of, but first of all, get rid of the male characters. Mm-hmm. Now, I could understand it in a way in that we were saying earlier on about when you get a habit starts. So you get zombie movies and TV shows. You get an asteroid's going to hit Earth. You get 3 movies where that's coming to right. This idea that okay, well, yes, and yes, objectively speaking, most movies in the superhero genre have been mainly male characters and quite possibly mainly white characters. This is quite possibly true because they're following from the comics. So, but the thing is, when everybody reacts against something, everybody says, well, I'm going to do something different. It stops being different. 1 or 2 movies that say, okay, fine, well, we're going to do this and we're going to bring out a black character. We are going to gender or race swap perhaps a particular character. If you get that happens once or twice, you're going to go, why are they doing that? But when they do it in everyone, when you can tell before the film, before anybody sees a movie, what the main points are going to be, that's when they start losing people.
Yeah, I want to bring up something, and this is a movie reference. I don't know how many people on the panel or even in the chat have seen the movie Network recently.
No.
Because there is a sequence in that movie where a character, the character we're all familiar with from the meme, and that is, I'm angry as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That guy,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
He is told by an international banker that he will tell the people what he wants them to hear. And what he wants them to hear is that the world is not under anybody's control but him. And that he will do as told. And the story he's telling is so depressing that they have to kill him on air to get rid of him, to stop him from talking. I mean, this is so parallel to probably what's going on I don't necessarily hold companies like Disney and Warner Brothers responsible because their financiers are allowing this to happen. They may even be condoning it and promoting it to happen. I don't know. I don't get this financially. I don't understand what's really going on. There
No, you're
are
right. Financially, it doesn't make
hundreds
any
of
sense.
trillions of dollars that have been lost. If they had done Star Wars just close to what they should have done, imagine the billions and billions of dollars
Yes.
they would have.
Hmm.
I
But they
just don't get it.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. No, you're trying to look at an illogical situation through a logical lens,
Right.
and it doesn't work. It doesn't
The only
work. It
thing that
makes
gets
your brain
displaced
hurt.
is a conspiracy theory. It's crazy. Every time I think about it logically, I have to put a silver cap on. I got to put my
No,
tinfoil
I
hat
feel
on.
the same way. But
It's
I
nuts.
think we talked about it a little bit before. What we are witnessing is the destruction of our legends,
Yeah.
of our
Yep.
modern legends. You know,
Yes.
and they have to tear that down. Yes, that's my tinfoil hat talking, but they have to tear that down. You
Mhm.
can't have people having these ideals, you know, putting these thoughts in your head about, you know, being a good person and not a woke person, mind you, a good person, or aspiring to be more than you are, Steve Rogers. You have to tear down those legends and make things that people don't care about or are completely unpalatable, so that they don't have the inspiration, the motivation. It's a tactic. It's an evil tactic, but it's a
Yeah,
tactic.
it's so obviously an intelligent assault. That is the most obvious thing on the face of all of this nonsense that's going on, is that it is an open and clinically designed assault.
And it's
I
across
can't
all
see it any
platforms.
other way. Yeah, it's across
Mm.
everything.
And, you
It's
know,
not just media.
for every terminal list you get, which I thought was a brilliant series, you get 10 others that are terrible, you know, and is the opposite kind of message. So they every now and then they'll let one thing slide by just, you know, to keep you viewing it all, but then they dump, you know, 10 bags of crap on you.
Yep.
But
It's
what
weird.
do I know? Nothing.
Mm.
I'm a
Right,
guy. I'm a guy in a garage.
Okay, I'm just going to mention: has anyone got pick of the week for this week?
Anyone?
Anything for this
I do
week?
not have anything this week. I'm sorry.
And Colin never has anything. Do you,
I
Colin?
didn't get to the charity shop this week.
So no one's got nothing for pick of the week.
Nope.
Nope.
Man, you guys
Right.
suck. This is what happens when Jim is in here. You guys suck.
Poor.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to bring up instead is that I've just looked at the London Film and Comic Con for next weekend in the UK.
Oh.
And I've been looking at the ticket prices, or say the photographs with the Doctor Who cast.
Ah.
So I'm going to bring this up.
Okay.
What the hell
Right.
is that thing?
Is that
a dog?
Yeah.
Dogman is going to be there apparently.
Oh, I thought this was Doctor Who, not Spaceballs.
Yeah, it's that bad. It's Barf.
Right.
It's Barf's son.
Okay.
Son of Barf.
So
I'm sorry.
let's play a little game, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if everybody in the chat wants to take part in this, how much do you think it will be to have your photograph or autograph taken with all these people on the panel?
Way too much.
No, I'm talking about each individual.
Oh.
Way too much.
Oh, don't know. Dog guy, 150 for Tenant. I don't know who the other guy is. Jody should be like, they should be paying you. So I'm not even.
Yeah,
I
pretty
can't
much.
guess. Some random guy from Andor, someone else who I don't know. Matt Smith
Katie.
should be like 150 or more.
You don't know Katie
Colin,
Mack?
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Katie
Okay.
was the assistant with John Pertwee,
John
Joe
Pertwee.
Grant.
third
Oh,
Doctor.
see, I
Katie
wasn't a big
is-
third Doctor guy.
Yeah,
Katie is the only other classic assistant to have been in the new era until the special. Although, admittedly, she was
Yeah.
in Sarah Jane Adventures rather than Doctor Who itself.
Which I just
Okay.
actually saw the other day. I saw the whole thing. It was delightful.
Yes.
Lovely.
Right.
She's a gem, Katie. She is an absolute gem.
Ty Tennant, is that David's son?
Yes,
Who was
David.
in? He was the one who was in the Game of Thrones spinoff, or the Game of Thrones spinoff. I'm sorry, House of the Dragons, the Game of Thrones spinoff. Yes, I'm correct.
Right. So, who shall we pick first? We're going to do this like play your cards right in a way.
Tennant's going to be the most expensive.
Who?
Tennant.
I would.
The most expensive.
I think
Right.
Matt Smith might be drawing some big
Yeah,
bucks.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, good
Right.
point.
So we pick David Tennant first, okay? David Tennant.
Okay.
250.
His ticket price is standard autograph £95, standard photo. So there the price is 220.
Oh, I said 250. Oh well.
Right up.
That's pretty good.
Right. Okay.
So you get one standard photograph. What was the diamond pass?
Diamond pass was 220.
Holy
Right.
cow.
Autograph photo shoot and a gift.
Jesus.
What's the
Right.
gift?
So in the standard or play your cards, right? Who's going to pick next, higher or lower?
I say Matt is going to be higher,
Higher.
Yeah, I actually agree, I agree with Steven on this.
just because of House of Dragons.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Right. Matt Smith.
He's killing it in that series. I mean,
Yes,
all the
so
Can't
reviews
wait
I've
to
been
see him in
seeing.
it. I haven't seen him
So
yet, but
good.
I can't wait. I can't wait to
I
see
don't
it.
get HBO, so I
Look
can't
at
watch
these
it
numbers. Victory!
on the high
Sorry.
seas.
And
Yep.
Diamond
Oh, he's
pass
10
is
pounds
200.
more.
No, that
Yep.
says 110, but David was
Yeah,
235.
he was 220.
He's 15 more.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Just a little bit more, but I mean, they're
not
kind
much.
of on
Not
par though.
astronomically more though.
What's a talk
No.
ticket?
Talk ticket is where you go and see them and they just go on stage in a way.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, right.
I would
Okay.
imagine that,
Right.
each thing is.
Jeez.
Next one, please.
Judy, let's find out. And I would say that's less. I'm going to put my money on that's less.
oh, Jody, she's like I said, they should be paying you. I'm thinking like 75 or so.
So we
I
click
It
just
should
wouldn't
be
be able
less.
to even guess. I so out of the
We
loop
click
with
on-
these things.
If
Right.
she doesn't make the pig face, does it cost more? Hey,
And
75.
Jodie's
Look at
come
me.
down.
Well done.
And
No,
Diamond
195
pass
total, but
$1.95.
They're going to pay 15 quid to go and sit and listen to a talk, are they?
195? That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Well,
no. Oh, yeah. God, no.
Okay, next one.
We picking Barf,
Son of barf.
son of Barf.
well,
Next one.
Yeah, but
Speaking.
John Candy is deceased, so it's got to be son of Barf.
God, what a what a
So you
thing.
want to pick the dog?
yeah, Barf. And
Higher
that's
or lower?
I think it's such
Lower.
it's such a
If-
juxtaposition because the face is like cute
Ewok?
dog, and then the
Oh,
rest of his outfit is like warrior. So it's like it messes with your head. You're like, what the fuck?
Sorry, no, that's
somebody's costume did not do a good job that day.
One-
There he is.
It's like the D. Wallace werewolf in The Howling. It's like, what happened there, man?
that's fantastic.
Oh wow.
What do we have left in the costume department? We have a dog. We have a dog suit and some armor. Oh, that works. That works.
it's a samurai dog, isn't it, by the look of the armour?
I mean, the
Right,
dog is
so-
cute, but
Samurai.
what can I
Next
say?
one. Next one, please.
I think Bonnie is going to be lower than the dog, but I'm not sure because I don't know who she is at all.
No,
Okay.
she. I
That
would
was
imagine she's
Sylvester's
more
Sylvester.
companion.
Well, she was with Colin too, right?
So
Yeah.
we click on Bonnie Langford. I'll scream
and she's
scream
also
and
coming back in Big Finish at the moment.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Oh,
Nicole
okay.
Kidman, yeah.
No, same as the dog. It looks like.
However, double shoot
Oh.
with Sylvester McCoy.
She's got a diamond pass set up.
That's
or
actually
something.
quite good for
Mm.
those two. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that would have been a bit more. I got to be honest.
I would have thought you more with her and Sylvester.
Together, yeah.
Hmm. Right, next
Yeah,
one.
definitely.
Right, so
Let's
what-
try Colin Baker.
Colin Baker.
Man, he got big.
Yeah.
He ballooned up. I mean, he got older. It happens to all of us, I suppose.
What do you expect for
He's not
2020?
much more. He's a little
Yeah.
bit more.
So he's
Yeah,
not
pretty
even
standard.
doing any sort of in-person photo, just a standard photo shoot,
Huh. That's not good. He's a
standard autograph.
Mm-hmm. Right, who's next?
How about Joplin down in the bottom there? The guy with the nobody from Andor. I'm
Oh, is that
thinking like
ready?
10
I've
bucks.
never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
No, he's a side character on Andor. He's not. I mean, he's not a big player. He's a bit character on a show no one's watching. 15 seems to be like the low end. It doesn't. I think it's gonna. I thought it was gonna be less. That seems to be like the bottom end is 15.
Amazing.
I mean, for 15 US dollars, you used to be able to walk into a creation con, which was back in the 80s, 90s, and you basically had the whole place at your fingertips for the 15 quid or whatever it was to get in the door. You had all the autographs, you know, they didn't have separate photo shoots. You could just, if the actor was cool about it, and, you know, you could ask them, could I have a photo? And they'd slide around the table and have a photo. But, you know, it was just such a different animal.
Not
and it's so
anymore. Not
commercialized now.
anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really
You know,
commercialized
Comic-Con
now.
San Diego was $80 for me. Of course, I didn't go last year. We've talked about that before, and I'm not going this year or next year either. I passed over my days because I'm not doing their games.
Not how much is Sylvester? That's it?
Again, that's very affordable. I would do that. I don't even really like it, but I would do that.
I'm going to just
Yeah.
bring this up for
Yeah.
a minute
Well,
what
he's
Cam
there.
Cam said.
I just wanted to bring up
Yes,
that.
Cam.
I just wanted to bring up.
Shit. Hey guys, I am gonna have to bow out of the show here. I have a lot of cooking stuff I gotta take care of. So
Don't let those
sorry.
ribs burn.
Sorry, yeah, I'm smoking ribs, and the time is nigh, as they say.
Compared to the
We're all
others,
going
that's
over to Roman's house.
compared to the others, that's massively underpriced for Katie Manning.
So
Absolutely.
have a good rest of the show, and I'll see
Cheers,
you guys
Roman.
on Tuesday.
Thanks for
Roman,
hosting.
take care. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Don't let Colin be in charge when I'm gone. We've all
No.
seen what happens. You're all going to be back in 1522. Nothing's going to work. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'll see you guys Tuesday for Prisoner.
What have you got against 20 past
Yeah.
3?
And talk to John. Find out about mixtape.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
No
know
worries.
if we're going to see a lot about that anymore. Unfortunately, he's got some job stuff. He's a busy dude. It's a weird time for everyone.
Okay. Cool. Well, say hello to him.
There was
I don't
one
get a
more
chance to
thing
talk to
I
him.
wanted to say, and I don't remember what it was. So we'll just leave it with that. Roman's
Smoke those ribs.
lost mine. I'm like Frankenstein in Pennsylvania. All right, you guys take care, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right,
care,
take care,
Roman.
Roman.
Here's Roman.
Okay, Wendy, you're the main host now.
I object
nice.
to that. I object strongly to Roman's accusations. I'm not a bloody Tudor. Goddamn Welsh traitors. Oh, okay. So they did give us Elizabeth I, so we'll allow them that.
And I just wanted to bring up about Mr. Joplin Sabtane. Beyond Andor, his filmography is fairly extensive. I could see him actually
Really?
he's got Hamlet in here. He was part of Avenue 5, the TV series.
I've got to catch up that.
He was in a bunch of different TV shows. I mean, this guy's probably got in London, in England, he's probably got some following. So Andor isn't the only thing this guy did. There seems to be a lot of other stuff that he was participating in. Hard Sun in 2018, Safe in 2018. Yep, he's been around the
well, I
block.
hope he gets a good turnout anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Excellent.
I'm just checking on Let's Talk PJ's channel at the moment. Nobody's waiting, and it's still not active.
And we have not heard from Jim. I do hope he's okay. I hope he's okay.
Well, that's interesting. There's another Doctor Who alumni in Andor as well.
Yeah.
Faye
Really?
Marseille. apparently the character's called Vel Sartha, but she was in. I think she was in the. Was she in the Waters of Mars one? Faye Marseille.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, that was a really good.
Because she was, and I know she. Oddly enough, at the risk of playing to the type, she also was in The White Queen, which I did watch, which was a medieval. She was the wife of she was the first wife of Richard III. She was which one?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say
Julie.
Richard III. I'm hoping to try to see the movie Lost King. It's I don't know how accurate it is, but it's about digging him up in the car park in Leicester.
Yes, I remember all that.
Yes.
Sally Hawkins is playing Philippa Langley, which personally I don't get, but whatever.
I'd have to look into it. I can't really comment on that one, but it does sound interesting. Sounds interesting.
I've seen a bunch of documentaries on the dig.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really, really interesting.
Cool. Well, hearkening back to the conventions, I have a pretty trippy story that I can share if you want to hear it. This would have been, I don't know the exact year, but it was probably had to have been like late 80s probably. I was down at a con in New York City, and was there with my friends, and the dealer's room in those days was nowhere as big as it is now, but it was big enough, and I was having a good old wander around. And I stopped at one point near one of the tables, and I was just having a little bit of a peruse on the table, and all of a sudden this male voice behind me said, "Nice boots." And I happened to be wearing some sort of like they were like a cream leather high heeled boot, and I turned around, and my brain actually froze when I realized who it was, because at first I didn't recognize him, and you'll get why in a minute. And I kind of just stared at him for a second, and I was like, "Thank you," and at that time, actors could walk around the dealer's room.
We've got a visitor. PJ.
Hey, PJ. Don't know.
What happened? You left the Viking in charge. What do you think happened? He's lost at sea somewhere.
Yes, we just hope he's okay. We hope he's okay. We just hope he's happily sleeping off a few or 20 pints. Hopefully he's just, Carol Jude. Oh, for fuck's sake, tell us who it was. So the actors that you don't see their face on screen, you don't always recognize right away. And of course, I was a huge Star Wars fan, as so many of us were. And it was only Anthony Daniels.
Wow.
And he was having the luxury, because at that time, no internet to speak of, nobody really knew what he looked like very much, unless you really, really were, into your film magazines and, knew his face. And so I still regret to this day that I didn't talk to him more, because I was just like, holy shit. C-3PO just complimented me on my boots.
Look who's bloody woken up.
Good grief.
Oh my God.
Okay,
guys,
are you
Jim?
Are you okay?
Oh, yes, I'm okay. I'm just I'm okay. I'm just getting senile. I
forgot what day of the week it was.
Which you sent out this morning.
We can relate to senile. I can relate to that.
No, I didn't. I set my alarm for somehow to 10 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. I don't know what.
Oh dear, and it is 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know how I managed to do that because I just wanted a quick power nap. It's like,
That's what happens when
Mhm.
you get
yeah,
old.
I snuggle up in the sofa waiting for the laundry to clean at 6 o'clock. And it's like, okay, I'll take an hour power nap, but set the alarm for 10. Don't know why I did that.
Yes, PJ, you are. You are.
That's
He
absolutely
said, see, I
fantastic.
told you I was a calming influence on this stream.
Well, PJ, just to let you know, if you want the recording of this, I'll be happy to send it over to you after, so you can post it on your channel.
Oh, I do feel embarrassed, and I thought, oh, I need to log on and take the beating.
Just take the abuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take the abuse because I don't want to admit it, but I am getting old.
Yeah. Well, as long as you are in one piece, I mean, this
Yeah.
is the important thing. And you were just snoring. We can live with snoring, but
Yep.
you know, we
I'm
just wanna
not
make
sure you can live with my snoring. My ex couldn't.
Oh,
So
Occasionally live
Oh,
on air, we can
that
live
is a
with your
good one.
snoring.
That is a good one.
Oh, and after
Oh,
the
God.
phone,
Well, actually, in California, it's really bizarre. I mean, and working in the construction industry, you bump into a lot of
just leave it
people.
after the word bizarre.
I have worked and met so many different actors. The gentleman from Will and Grace, good heavens, School of Rock guy over there. I'm just blanking on his name with my stream brain.
Black.
Jack Black, yes. As a matter of fact, while working on his house, I show up to the job site at like 6 o'clock in the morning just to chill before the job starts. And there's Jack Black standing on his front lawn. He had locked himself out of his own house because he forgot his keys inside and didn't
No.
know how to. He locked himself out of his house at around 3 o'clock in the morning. He had been just
Ouch.
wandering around his own yard all night. I'm like, really, Jack? I mean, seriously, man? It's like, this was before School of Rock. This is before he was anything more than Tenacious D at that point. He was just starting to come out of the brink. But the reason why I bring this up is I was hanging out in a bar called Barney's Beanery, which is a combination pub and all-day restaurant, right? In the heart of West Hollywood. And hanging out at the bar, quite literally with one of his feet up on top of a stool, was Frank Gorshin.
Wow.
No way.
From the
Riddler.
original Batman series.
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
in fantastic shape.
He was in original Trick,
fantastic
too.
shape. Yep. Absolutely incredible. I was just agape. I didn't even bother walking up to him because you just
That's
don't
so
do that in
cool.
Hollywood. But he looked just like the Riddler. He was the Riddler. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And this was 99, 2001, maybe 2000, something like that. It was right around that time period. I was doing karaoke circuit with a bunch of guys.
Yep.
I lived in the
Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
I lived
Go
in-
ahead, Julie.
I'm sorry.
He was in. Go ahead, Kel.
I was going to say, I lived in the Upper East Side of Manhattan for 15 years. And even before that, I worked in Midtown in Rockefeller Center. And one day in Rockefeller Center, I'm in the card shop. There's a Hallmark in the basement. And I'm just standing there minding my own business, being your basic native New Yorker. And all of a sudden, this guy in front of me starts talking. It was Tony Randall.
Oh,
Wow.
freaking
Yeah.
cool.
He just, started chatting me up. And I thought, oh my God, Tony Randall. Does he know he's Tony Randall?
Yeah, New York is another place like that. I was delivering a photocopy machine when I was working for my dad to like this tailor, this like really high-end custom tailor dress shop. We were installing the photocopy machine, and in walks, now this is 1994 or 5, Lauren Bacall.
Oh my God.
And it was just like,
wow.
holy crap.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wowzers.
Looking
yeah.
as fabulous as she always does, probably getting some
Yeah.
dress for some
She was
convention or
class.
something.
She was class.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Working in Hollywood since she was 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Closest I came was almost meeting Jamie Anderson, because I was stuck in the office when it came to the building site.
We went, there's a place in New York City called the Joseph Papp Theater, which is
The public.
exactly, and it makes the arts accessible to the general public by allowing you, or it did, to queue. Of course, it was an all-day queue. You had a queue pretty much all day, but you could get in to see actors like Patrick Stewart. Many actors at the time were doing this, and it was called Shakespeare in the Park. And it was an outdoor performance of a particular Shakespeare play, whatever one they were doing. And they'd have these guest, very well-known actors. And at the time, had to have been in the 90s, I suppose, they had Patrick Stewart doing The Tempest. And we literally had to sit on the hot pavement to queue all day, to sit in line all day. And we got our tickets. And when you said Tony Randall, that's what reminded me of this, because we were there on the opening night of this particular play with The Tempest. And we saw Tony Randall. We just passed him in the little tunnel thing that you go in to sort of get in there. We passed Olympia Dukakis, who at the time was in a film with Julia Roberts. I think she did a film with her.
Weren't they in Sweet Magnolias together?
I think she was in that. Yeah, something like that. But anyway, it was just cool because you saw there were soap opera actors. There were, some familiar faces. Even if you didn't particularly watch the soap opera, they would be familiar enough to you at that point, and you'd be like, oh, that's so and so, And it was such a trip because not only was it cool to see Patrick Stewart, but it was just like you were looking all through the crowd, because you'd see all these familiar faces. It was really, really fun, and I'm just so grateful to that trust was set up, to allow you to get in to see a show. If you didn't have, deep pockets to be able to go and pay big bucks to go and see it elsewhere. And I'm a Shakespeare fanatic, so I was in heaven.
The last time I went to Shakespeare in the Park, excuse me, I'm going to cough. Keep talking.
Oh, yeah, she's got a terrible cold and a cough. Yeah, that was the only one, sadly, I got to go to. I would have gone to as many as I could, really, if I'd been able to. But New York City was, it was like a good hour and 10 minutes on the train for me. So it was, I would go down every once in a while, but I couldn't get down there a lot.
I remember that performance, actually, when he did The Tempest.
Do you?
Yeah, I didn't see the performance, but I remember it in the press because I was a Star Trek fan, so his name would pop up and you would just hear about it. It was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I couldn't get anywhere near him. I mean, we didn't see him up close or anything. We had pretty good seats, really. But part of that story that is quite funny is there was I was with my best friend at the time, and she had some friends. She was based in New York City, but her parents had a house kind of in the countryside where I lived. And so we'd grown up together, and she'd had some other friends with her. And this one of her friends she was just a bit goofy, and she was a bit of a giggler and a bit of a clown, and that's cool. Time and a place, that's cool. That's fine. But I basically remember, and Kelly will get a kick out of this, and probably Stephen as well. I basically turned to my friend and I said, if she talks through this performance, I'm going to kill her. So I'm just giving you fair warning now. She's going to be dead if she opens her mouth. So she sat this girl on the opposite side of the aisle from me. I said, because now, I didn't just sit in the queue in the hot sun all day, not being able to go to the toilet for 7 hours for someone to talk through this.
The last time I went, sorry, my coughing fit is over for the time being. The last time I went, I think the play, it was not Shakespeare, unfortunately. It was Hair. And the play Hair.
What was it? Sorry?
It was Hair, not Shakespeare. They did Hair.
Okay.
Wow.
It was really well done. But anyway, I was sitting directly behind, and I can't remember the actor's name. I'm drawing a blank. Niles Crane.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Wow.
yes. I can't think. David something Pierce, David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, that's it. I was sitting right behind him. And then the very last New York play I went to was called The Seafarer. It's sort of a Faustian story. And it starred a guy named David Morse. He played George Washington in the
He played what? Sorry?
he played George Washington in the John Adams series.
Okay.
The Seafarer, the star of the play, well, in my mind, the star of the play was Kieran Hines.
Oh, you got me on Kieran Hines. Oh my God, don't get me started on Kieran Hines.
I was sitting next to somebody who looked familiar, and I just couldn't place him. So I did a very un-New York thing. Since I knew I was leaving New York, I figured I could get away with it. I went to the stage door because I was damned if I was not going to get Kieran Hines' autograph on my copy of Persuasion. And so I did, and I got a picture with him. And it turns out that the man who's sitting next to me is Rainn Wilson from the U.S. version of The Office.
Okay, I know the name.
I couldn't place him, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out where the hell I'd seen him from. And then I came home, and just out of the blue, there he was.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I have to echo Carol Jude's comment in the chat. It's so nice to hear what Kel Lynch sounds like, by the way. And I second that. You have a beautiful voice, and it's just lovely to hear you.
It's not normally this deep and husky. It's usually a little higher. But
you're doing fine.
Excuses.
Yeah, New York is an incredible place. We're going through a very, very strange period across the surface of the entire Earth. We're just going through a very bizarre period. They used to do all kinds of filming in New York and all kinds of plays, and eventually we'll get back to something kind of like that. Just to give you an example, on another one of my photocopy machine delivery adventures in Manhattan, my brother turns a corner and we're stopped at a light, and out of a building comes Rob Reiner, Billy Crystal, and Meg Ryan. And I had my camera with me and I took a shot of them, not realizing that they were in the process of filming Harry Met Sally.
Wow. Oh my God.
The film came out like 3 months later. I was like, wow, because I had a huge crush on her from Top Gun. Meg Ryan, such an adorable creature.
She is
just
adorable.
So beautiful.
Were you in the film?
Oh,
no. It wasn't like that. There were no cameras. But they were obviously in the process. I don't even remember the location. I've got the photograph somewhere in my library. It could very well have been they just walked out of the diner. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
But New York is like that. And Hollywood is not too far off from that either. It's been weird the last 5 years. I've just been bizarre.
You guys will love this. Did any of you see the movie You've Got Mail?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a scene in the movie where Meg Ryan and Greg Kinnear are going to the movies. And they're going to the movies on the West Side near Tom Hanks's gigantic bookstore.
Right.
And they're going into the theater, or they're going into the building, and it's a high-rise theater, and you have to take escalators to go all the way up to all the various floors. And it was the building that I was seeing the movie in. So the whole audience is watching Meg Ryan and Greg Kinnear on the same escalator we'd been on, an hour earlier. And they get off on the same floor we were on, and they start walking all the way to the back. And they were watching a movie in the same room we were watching their movie. So, even though rationally you knew that they were not there, everybody just started looking around.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And then it was the night that I took the bus home with Georgia Engel.
Oh,
It really is
so
her.
Mary Tyler Moore, and also what was the spin-off one?
I don't know, but about
Do you know that one?
yeah.
Lou
Ted.
Grant, wasn't there a Lou Grant spinoff or something?
Yeah, there was, but I don't know if there was a spinoff with Georgia Engel and Ted Baxter.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a funny
Anyway,
feeling.
I took the bus home with her one day.
Mary Tyler
Aw.
Moore.
Well,
God
she is
bless
nice
her merry
as she
soul.
seemed.
She
Yeah.
seemed very nice. You know,
Yeah.
she was chatting with people while we were waiting to get onto the bus. It was on the west side.
Lovely.
Yeah, no, and that really is her voice. She was not putting it on.
Wow.
But yeah, no, that's
So there's lots of
I miss
great
about her.
stories.
Well, one
Yeah.
friend of mine ran into she waited on Alan Rickman in New York. Yeah.
I'd basically lose my job. I'd just be like hugging him, basically.
Speaking of fascinating little
God.
voices, does anybody remember the elf from the Tom Cruise movie Legend?
No.
There's a character in there that plays against Tom Cruise, and she's basically the fairy elf that tries to guide him towards, the climax of the story. She on film, she looks so teensy weensy, but I'm like, it can't possibly be that's for real. And she's got this little teensy weensy little, fairy elf voice. And at that same Barney's Beanery, I actually bumped into her and spoke to her for like almost an hour about her performance in the film. She's like 4'8". Soaking wet, she can't be any more than 80 pounds. And she was in her mid-40s when she did the film, but on screen, she looks like she's like 12. It's crazy.
Huh.
But yeah, it's just, they're the most. Specifically, the guy from Will and Grace, who is married with children, by the way, he is the most down-to-earth, regular dude. He walks the baby. He was walking the baby every morning. He would go out on a walk with him and his wife, going out shopping for groceries, doing some gardening on the front lawn while we were building a wall on the perimeter of his property out of flagstones. Just the most regular guy. He would walk up to us and goes, "Hey, you guys want any water? You guys need anything? We got plenty of stuff in the house. Help yourselves. In the garage there's a refrigerator." Just totally genuine. And I actually asked him one day, I'm like, for a Hollywood personality, you're such a genuine guy. And he goes, "Well, I'm from Canada."
Unfortunately, I believe I've heard Deborah Messing is somewhat of a different type of person.
She seems like
I've heard, but I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe.
I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of the female personalities in entertainment. They have a really rough gig, and the idea that she was being criticized for her trying to keep in shape, she wound up boning out her chest a little bit, like that you could see her in a blouse, that her fitness was obvious, that you could see some of like the tightness of hers. It was just, and she started getting criticized for it. And I'm like, you know what, guys, how dare you? And she's trying her best to keep her game going and well into her career. And, and Sigourney Weaver used to get criticized too for being too tall. And I'm like, shame on you guys. Just shame on you guys. It's a rough gig.
I absolutely agree with that. I've met plenty of celebrities outside of Comic-Con settings and everything, and they are humble. Some of them are absolute knobheads.
Yeah.
You elevated the Canadians, but I will put it down a little bit and say that there are some Canadian actors, a very famous one that pretty much everyone here still likes. He's a little bit off-putting in social settings. But I kind of understand it as well. It's if you're that much of a famous person and been around for that kind of time, you kind of get defensive because you, as the celebrity, you do meet a lot of loons or over the top fans.
Mhm.
So you do get protective.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Can totally
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, there's some that just seem to manage it very well. Back in the day, like 80s, late 80s, they used to have a lot of the original cast of the original Star Trek coming to the conventions, with the exception of the big two.
Mhm.
Leonard did come one year to New York, but he gave a lovely talk, and we had to basically make this impossible choice. Well, it wasn't impossible, but it was not a very nice choice to have to make, where they scheduled his signing like right after his talk, which meant you either had to completely miss his talk and stand in a queue that went literally around the block, or you had to stay for his talk and just give up getting in line for his autograph. Just give that up, because it ain't gonna happen, because by that time the line was, forget it. And we just chose to stay and listen to his talk, because as much as I wanted his autograph, because to go with some that I'd already been collecting, from other cons, I just felt, we kind of just didn't want to like get up and walk out right after he started to talk, because it just seemed
The
rude.
three, I agree absolutely with you there on that. The three major cons that used to be around here in UK, so London, Manchester, and I keep forgetting what the third place, Birmingham or something. They literally did the same thing over and over again. It's like, it was the talk, but if you didn't get into the queue by the time the talk started, you had no chance of getting a signed autograph or memorabilia or whatever you had.
Yeah.
You had to choose
had-
one or the other.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough choice, really. But like, talking of actors that manage the fame element well, so that they don't come across as assholes when you're trying to talk to them at a convention. They come across as really genuine, nice people. And a lot of those original actors that weren't the big two. I sadly never got to see DeForest Kelly, which breaks my heart. But all the other actors, the other, James Doohan and Grace Lee Whitney, Mark Leonard, they all turned up at cons over the years, and they were all so lovely, but so genuine, and not like, standoffish or impatient. And then many years later, like, God, like, must have been 15 years later or more, I went to a con again, and I hadn't been in years. And
Excuse me, sorry.
Marina Sirtis from Next Gen was there.
She's a surprise to see real life versus how you see her in TNG.
Yeah. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I suffice it to say, it was a vastly different experience, and I know that things had changed by then. She was obviously known all over the world by then, but of course the original cast did as well, but they were from a totally different generation, and they'd had, and I just came away thinking to myself, whoa, I am not going to be investing the money anymore to go and see some of these more modern actors, because I was just not impressed.
But Marina says as well, would probably thought you shouldn't have been a Star Trek fan anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is the
Yeah.
thing. This is the thing. Yeah.
You should have done with Leonard Nimoy. You should have just tried to get hold of a serviette of his. Then you could clone him.
Nah, Sheldon.
Exactly.
No, that's a Big Bang Theory one, but
that's the only time Sheldon hugged Penny, I think.
I think
he's actually hugging me.
Yeah. Too bad that gets everything he's bought because it's not enough. But
that was a good episode.
Yeah, she's made a whole gig, or some of her interviews with the Next Gen gang. It's hysterical to hear her shamelessly just destroying the show on the stage. It's weird. She's got a whole act that she does now.
Does she? Yeah.
And it's like the Harrison Ford routine with Han Solo. It's like, really? Seriously? I don't know why I find this very distasteful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it's a different feel.
But
Oh, you're
Zoinks. Your mic is going weird, Jim.
in your roboting. Well, I remember a few years ago, I saw a video of a Star Trek con with the captain's panel.
hold on, guys.
You're going in and out, Jim. I don't know what's going on, mate, but you're roboting worse than I was.
Hmm.
I had this. There was a panel at a con, and it's on YouTube as well. And basically, you've got Avery Brooks looking very old. Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, Shatner, Picard, Stewart, and guy from Quantum Leap. I'm having brain fart as well.
Scott Bakula.
And I want to, and the interviewer asks them what Star Trek means to them, and they go along with them. And the last one answer is Shatner, and Shatner just says basically everything. I wouldn't be where I am without it. So
well, that's it. I mean, there's a difference between taking the piss and having a bit of a laugh. I mean, everybody's got to be able to, have a bit of a laugh at themselves, but at the same time, there's a way of doing it, and you get some that just, as you say, they just seem to identify a little bit too much with the negative attitude about it. It made them, I'm guessing it made them a fair bit of money, so yeah, I don't know.
That's why I'm afraid I have absolutely no time at all for certain ungrateful brat ex-child actors who decide that they want to turn down and they want to completely and utterly show, no matter what you may think about them, that they may want to utterly upon the woman whose work actually made them what they are today.
Yeah.
Mentioning no names, Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I don't know much about her. I mean, I've seen her in the films, but
no, and that they do. I mean, the weird thing is, I mean, I can understand. I would imagine that in order to be an actor, and I don't mean this in a rude way, you have to, like many things, you're going to have a certain sort of personality, quite outgoing, quite or putting on a front, because a lot of actors apparently are actually quite shy, and the way they get into acting is it's a coping mechanism, it is a front for them, which is going to lead you to be that sort of person. So you can understand it, perhaps in some ways, that there's going to be a link between, if you're the sort of personality that's attracted to acting and being outgoing like that, you're going to be attracted. You're going to have certain other aspects of your personality that are probably going to be going along with it, and that just being told yes, you're great and all the rest of it is going to build you up. Is going to make it harder for you to actually think outside the bubble. Yeah, relate to people.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I think we've gotten such an insight into the actors that we see in our programs now, that it is sometimes a double-edged sword. I mean, they are human beings, they're not perfect, but at the same time, I think we've been spoiled. I mean, those of us who've grown up in a certain era have been really spoiled by the fact that the actors that we have met, many, over the years, most of them have really been very grateful and very, very sort of appreciative of, where they came from, and really, enjoy interacting, and even if you're a shy person, and I'm not saying, I mean, there are actors that, can get on stage or get in a studio and act and be another character, but privately they are very private people, and that's cool. That's cool. But don't come to a con and then be weird.
That's right. Yeah.
With
yeah.
people.
Be a character at least, put on a facade if you have to, just Get the job done. People are here. They've invested their time to see you. All you got to
And they
do is
don't.
be there.
Yeah, and most of those people don't have the money that these people have, so they've invested a
So
good
true.
chunk of their hard-earned money, to be there. One person that we saw at a con was John Delancey, and we were psyched. We were just like really psyched to see him because he's so funny, in Next Gen as Q. But he came out on stage, and he was another one that I could appreciate that he was sort of bored of talking about Q and talking about Star Trek. But what are you doing there, man? Because he came out, and it wasn't just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek attitude. Like, he did. People that came to see him as Q and wanted to speak. They were happy to listen to the actor who played Q talk about his role. That's why he's there. That's what all these people have traveled miles and miles and miles to be there, on trains, on planes, and he was really pissed off that people kept asking him about Q. And he finally basically said, why don't one of you actually ask me about what I'm doing now? I want to talk about that. And I was thinking to myself, are you completely insane?
Well, I can, yeah, but
You're getting paid to be there. I mean, I get it. He must get sick to death of answering questions about Q, but
well, people. I mean, I understand. I've heard that Peter Capaldi used to walk around cons in character, and that Tom Baker would do something very similar, and he would talk to people as the Doctor, even when he wasn't in costume. I mean, to the point, I think I seem to recall reading somewhere that he'd never be caught smoking in public because he knew even after he finished, kids saw him as the Doctor and he didn't want them, So he took
different time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, took take their responsibilities, understand, and they've taken on a role and a responsibility. But there's this weird sort of I'm not sure if dichotomy is the right word, but with actors, sometimes you say the way we treat them. Sometimes you say, well, you're only playing a role. Just play the role, or just read the words. And then at the same time, you can turn to another actor and listen to what they say because they played the character because they played the character so such a time they are the character. And I think it must be a very weird thing to be in that position as an actor.
Yeah, I've told people, and I've been in this position myself. I played a character that was, I mean, it was dinner theater, okay? But I played the same character on and off in multiple shows for about 8 years.
Wow.
And every time I played this guy, I really, my skin was crawling. I was playing the character with all of my loathing for the character, right? So as much as I disliked this character, I would use that energy to play him more pathetic than I had played him last time. He was abused by the boss and abused by his wife. His wife was openly cheating on him with the boss in the show, right? He was a total simp. The boss would literally stand on top of his body after knocking him to the floor. It was a comedy, of course. But after doing that, it finally dawned on me that I started telling actors, I'm like, be careful. Just be very, very careful. You may have something that breaks and you will be stuck with it. Point of example, the guy who does the comedy routine, you might be a redneck.
Yeah. Jeff Fox.
I understand that he doesn't like that bit at all. He went on, played that character. It was a spontaneous moment. He had ripped his sleeves off because he was sweating because the lights were too hot. And he just got stuck with that costume.
Oh, that's Larry the Cable Guy. Different
Yeah.
guy.
Not like You might be a redneck. He's a comedian. I don't know
That's Jeff
what.
Foxworthy. Larry the Cable Guy is the one with the no sleeves.
Oh, there you go. A
He's
different character
actually
then.
from Indiana, but he plays a Southerner.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Blue
weird.
collar comedy tour is
Blue-collar comedy
absolutely
tour, yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah, some of them are hilarious.
So I can get where it comes from, but at the same time, you're a soldier at that point. Do your duty. I know it's not pretty. I get you're on the Western Front, but suck it up and bear it, man. I mean, the crowds are here for you. Can't you just do that and figure out some way? Unless you're not an intelligent person, you want to talk about your new stuff, please the fans, and then figure out some way to weasel in your new stuff. It's not really a hard equation. Just figure it out, but don't insult the fans. They're all here because you're cute, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Carol's made a good point in the chat. She says, for some, it's just a role, though they appreciate it greatly, but even so, they have work that they're more proud of. To be doing cons for the exposure and money has to be a bit demoralizing. I completely agree, and I totally get that. And I'm hoping that Delancey was just having a bad day. I haven't seen him since. I haven't spoken to anyone else who's actually seen him in a con to see what he's actually like. And he does have a very strong personality. So that can sometimes, it's hard to tell sometimes if they're just having a bit of fun with the audience, but I'm guided by my overall feeling of how he left us that day. And myself and the group that I was with, we were all really kind of like, holy cow, what a dick. He really seemed to just not be in the mood. And that's a shame. That's a shame for him as well, because I'm sure it's got to be really difficult, to get keyed up to go out there and do that. But to me, I just wouldn't do it. And I suppose they have to do it perhaps for whatever contract they're under. I don't know how it works, but there's been other actors like Stephen First from Babylon 5, who played Veer.
Yeah.
What a doll. What an absolute doll he was. He came out, we didn't get to actually meet him, but we saw him speak, and he came out on stage and he was adorable. He wasn't a far cry from the character that he played, but he was so sweet that one of the girls, they had a people dressed in cosplay and stuff that were sort of helping out at the convention. They were all volunteers, and she was exhausted and she was tired, and he asked for any questions in the audience. And I remember this girl got up and she said, you know what? She said, I've been working here all day and I'm really exhausted and I just need a hug. He came down off the stage and he gave her a hug.
Yeah.
He's
just
please tell me
priceless.
What a
please
darling.
Tell me she was cosplaying Lindisty.
Rickman and Galaxy Quest. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the old cast of Star Trek in cons, and Babylon 5, I went to a con not knowing he was going to be there. I was actually standing in line for Christensen, the Russian gal there. Again, brain fart.
Claudia.
And
Claudia.
Right. Yeah. And right next to her was Walter Koenig.
Oh.
And when I walked up to him, I was just like, man, you have no idea how important. Now, mind you, the show was just wrapping up. The Babylon 5 series was just wrapping up. And I congratulated him that Bester will go down in science fiction history as one of the coolest villains. The whole Psi Corps, he represented the Psi Corps. He made that. He embodied it. And I could see a little sparkle in his eyes.
Because you get a scene with Bester after he's a bad guy. He's been introduced. You should not like him. And then suddenly you get, he has a family. He has
Yep.
a wife. He has 2 kids.
You can
He's coming home
sympathize
for
with him.
dinner.
Yeah, he becomes sympathetic during that whole sequence where his girlfriend, his lover on the side, gets taken by the Psi Corps to do research on for the Black Project for the Shadows. So yeah, it's incredible. And he definitely brightened up because he was looking mighty depressed while I was waiting in line. And I'm like, wow, I really need to I just need to bathe this guy in Babylon 5 praise because,
What
he's
one
incredible.
of the great, I will not say tragedies is necessarily a word, but having just finished bringing chat on the stream, reviewing Crusade, one of the biggest unfortunates is about Crusade being cancelled. There was an episode, being that Crusade is set after the Telepath War. There was supposed to be an episode with Bester in it, but it was never filmed.
Ah,
But we
Anyway.
had a show here back in the 90s. It was a sci-fi quiz show called Space Cadets, and it was, I think, Greg Proof, I think his name was, an American who was doing it, and it was a team show. And one particular episode, they had one of the team captains was Claudia Christian, and one of the guests was Walter Koenig. And not once for the entire thing did they make any Babylon 5 connection. Everything they did with Walter Koenig was Star Trek, and I thought,
yeah, well, that's
understandable
not.
he's the Star Trek, but sorry, he's also,
Yeah.
and you've got Claudia Christian on there as well, who's a perfect one to actually face him against Bester.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just passing
She
some
was
viewing
funny.
advice to Carol.
Yep. She was Claudia Christian was at one of the cons we went to, I remember, over the years, and what a character. She's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, she came flouncing out on stage. I mean, we know her from, if you think of her character from Babylon 5, you think of this very controlled, severe looking, hair pulled back into like military precision, and she came flouncing out on stage in, I can't even remember what she had on, but I can just remember seeing it didn't leave a lot to the imagination. Let me just say that. And she, she's a beautiful woman, absolutely beautiful, funny. She had the crowd eating out of her hand.
Did she say boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka?
She's also a singing talent. She has multiple albums that she's recorded, and her and her partner as well are, they were together for a while, from what I understand. I don't know what's going on with them currently right now, but all of these people that we meet when they finally break, and when we get to know them through these characters, they've already been on this train for, heaven knows how long.
Yeah.
And they've got multiple irons and multiple fires, and they don't know what's
Absolutely.
going to break. They're incredible people on the surface of themselves, and then they break and become even more than that. So it's a very strange thing to understand about them.
Claudia Christian was also in an episode of one of the first things I saw. It was an episode of Quantum Leap. But she also, now how much it was her and how much it was ghost written, I don't know. But she's also put her name to 2 or 3 spin-off novels or books about Ivanova after when she gets promoted to captain. Short stories and novelettes and the Babylon 5 books, which certainly she's down as author now. As I say, how much of that is her ideas and how much of that is, because I know Peter Jurassic has done the same one. He's done a not Babylon 5 sci-fi novel, but his name's down there as author about it's sort of a cross between it's effectively, I think from what I remember, not read it, but I think effectively the story is basically Peter Jurassic, Londo Mollari doing Galaxy Quest, if I remember correctly. So again, I don't know how much of that is the author and how much of that is the actor put input or something. But some of them, they've done that and they've actually written a few. They've put their names to spin-off books either for those characters, also similar.
And I do find it hilarious following the current day trends or whatever irks people on the Twitter. But if you look at Babylon 5, you have Mira Furlan, Claudia Christensen, Peter Jurassic. You even have, I keep forgetting what the actor's name is, playing Veer. And even Veer's counterpart in, I was going to say Mira Furlan, but it is...
Will Robinson.
Yes.
How many...
It's so amazingly well played, and this is more than a quarter of a century ago.
How many people went through 5 years of Babylon 5 wanting someone called William to attack Linnea and someone to say, danger, pointers are going to say, Will Robinson. I went 5 years ago.
They had all this otherness. It's Babylon 5 is essentially the Galaxy Quest homage to how you do a really well-made sci-fi, but still keep it a little bit grounded. You take some very easy pot shots at someone else, but you still keep it straight-faced. And this is what they did.
I mean, as I said on Thursday on the Ambassador stream, how many other shows are there out there that people are still doing review streams of 25 years later? Some of them, but you know, how many of the shows that are on these days will people be doing reviews in 5 years' time? Never mind a quarter of a century.
Yeah, we won't be talking about the stuff coming out these days. There's nobody that is going to talk about Rings of Power in 25 years' time. There's literally going to be nobody except the people going, oh, hey, look at how crap this was.
Carol, that's fair enough. Not everybody's for everything. Oh, oddly enough, we were talking about this on the Space Book earlier on, or they were talking about it, I was in chat, we were saying that one of the problems that we had over here was that in the UK, because there's a difference in releases, Babylon 5 came out just before Deep Space Nine did, which is why you kind of tend to have a lot more Babylon 5 fans than Deep Space Nine's in the UK, because B5 we got first. And then a few years later, we discovered that the coincidences between the two shows might not have been quite as coincidental as we thought.
Even so, story-wise, I think Babylon 5 will always win because it was a space opera, whereas DS9 still followed the Star Trek kind of way how you build a plot. It's always in the beginning of any episode, there's someone that gets ill by something. And I'm saying this because it's kind of fresh in my mind, but one of my favorite character, and he has been across a lot of a lot of series, is Miles O'Brien. And this one that I saw is Miles O'Brien getting hit with a charge or something. So he's time traveling and he's seeing himself in the future over and over and over again. And in the end, he discovers that he's going to get himself killed. So he has to kind of try and stop that. But I still love DS9 because it has a simple premise how to build a story. Someone gets inflicted by something that is crucial to solving the plot in that episode. But Babylon 5 had, something happened in season 1, episode 3, and the resolution isn't happening until season 3, episode 12.
That's my favorite part of the whole show. The idea that they bring back that medical device that
Yeah.
appeared in the first season, and
Yeah.
it's being used, and it's like part of the plot line of the romance between Marcus, and it's like, you got to be kidding me! This show is amazing.
Or not on that, but again, that episode, the first one of those episodes, of course, is great for crossovers, because who else did we have guest starring in that episode? Bill Mooney's mummy.
Yeah, she was. Yeah,
and the original Sheba from Battlestar Galactica, from the original Battlestar Galactica.
The cast is just
otherwise known as mother and
that are
daughter.
not mentioned. Michael York makes an appearance and plays like a King Arthur character. It's like, get out of here. This show is insane.
In that case, otherwise known as mother and daughter June and Anne Lockhart.
That's right. Yeah.
Who interesting? There was. I know you guys are talking about the upcoming movie Troll, aren't you? You're interested in that one. There was 1 year back in the 80s. About 12. I think it was called Troll again. It was set in I think basically it was set in a block of flats. And one of the lead characters was a witch played by June Lockhart. Until at one point she throws off her disguise and becomes the young Anne Lockhart. So the daughter and the mother playing the same character. Yeah, but yes, exactly. I mean, Babylon 5 was fantastic for that. It was so much interweaving, and so many of those things go back. And literally any throwaway line could suddenly become so important 4 years later.
Yeah. And it's how it's brought back. It's how it's woven into the story. And that was the beauty of Babylon 5. I mean, the writing was just superb.
Yeah.
It all came together. It just had that magic. It had the right actors. It had the right writing.
What would be really, really interesting would have been the alternate universe where half the actors that left didn't leave because the changes that JMS had to make to the story. Okay, so are we allowed to say spoilers for something that's 25 years old?
Yes, because Carol actually hasn't watched the whole show.
Okay, right. Well, yeah. Well, some. In fact, it doesn't actually make any difference from that point of view. But there were some actors, some characters who, because the actors left, some of the things that were supposed to be in their storyline becoming someone else's storyline.
I think Sinclair is the perfect example. Didn't they alter the course of Sinclair's whole character because he had to step away for a little while?
Yes, they did that one. They also did it with, as I understand it, the Town and Tomato character, the original in the TV movie, the movie that started in the. No, hold on a second. No, The Gathering. In the beginning was the original deputy commander. The actress left, and Ivana came in. Originally, Ivana wasn't going to be second in command; she was going to be third in command. But because the original actress left, Ivana moved up. Yeah, there are some. I would say there were some episodes of the first season in particular that. In my mind, didn't work. There was some later on, some few later on as well. But it was the thing is, it was originally conceived as a 5-year novel,
right?
Which is why the biggest problem, if that's the right word with it, the biggest glitch to that was that they never knew from year to year if they were going to finish, and how unfortunately. Season 4 is rushed because they didn't think they were going to get a season 5, and then they did. But they made it work.
Yep.
So a lot of the things. But if you like DS9 and the like, I would say it's worth giving a go if you can. But yeah, there's a few things in season 1 that do come back quite importantly in later seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I think the biggest takeaway for me for Babylon 5 was the existence and the creative decisions made to bring the Vorlons to reality.
Oh yeah.
To watch those characters evolve in the
It was so
storyline
cool.
and become what they were in that universe. The
Yeah.
costume design, the attitude, the classic science fiction writing, their capabilities and their powers, and the connection to like ancient gods. So good. I mean, we
Yeah.
had not seen anything like that on American television before.
Well, as we've said before, Stephen,
Yeah.
the Vorlons were Arisian, and the
Yeah.
Shadows were Redorians.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Let's back that thought, but you know that, and in fact, there's also, to a degree, even from another one, there's a bit of Lovecraft in there, in the idea of the cosmic horror, ancient gods, etc.
Yep.
type thing.
Indeed.
I mean, obviously,
yeah.
not full on Cthulhu,
When Ivanova goes hunting for the first ones, that's some classic science fiction writing right there, man.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
You know, and that one bit that Jakar, where he's talking to that botanist, and he says, you know, what would you even say to an ant sitting on this flower? You know, it's like they're not interested. They're not even thinking that they're stepping anywhere anymore. It's like they're so gigantic and so beyond.
Yeah.
Just that comment alone set Babylon 5 into a whole other realm of science fiction television.
Yeah. I mean, and it had, for such a short thing, and it had so much. I mean, the good thing, I think, that it managed to do, even after it got finished and crashed up, and then Crusade got cancelled, etc. It managed to continue the story in very good spin-off novels. You know, there's a few trilogies in Babylon 5 trilogies which do literally continue the story and fill in bits of the story that we've seen.
I'm going to bring up a crazy idea and, you know, beat me up or even throw me off the stream if necessary, but I'm going to say it anyway. This idea that we've got artificial intelligence that is capable of making imagery from sentences. We may actually see a future where you could plug in a novel and an AI would turn it into an illustrated novel, word for word for word for word. And you could even do pre-design now on all of the characters. So you take the imagery from Babylon 5, you load it into the system, and the computer only uses that imagery to design new images based on the sentences you're installing. So you can create an entire visual novel from the original novels of any old novel franchise. I mean, this is an actual reality that exists in our world now. They're still so underpowered, Kelly, that, you know, I don't fear any sort of AI overlords. They're still way too clunky. The roaches I fear more than artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
As long as it don't turn into hell from 2001, I think we'll be okay.
It's just not even possible. I've heard so many experts in the field say that that is nonsense. Okay, yes, we should be very cautious. Don't get me wrong. I understand all the earmarks, but all of the experts basically say that we have yet to create artificial intelligence smarter than an insect.
Yeah.
Yep.
But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about computing power anyway.
Yeah. Either that or the AI is intelligent enough to pretend to be dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Not that I want to make anyone paranoid, but
Speaking about AI, I'm going to announce a show for June the 3rd next year. On this channel, we are going to be looking at the film War Games because it's the anniversary.
Oh.
So
Is that like the Matthew Broderick one?
Yep.
Cool. That was such a fun film. It's dark, but it's fun.
Yeah. Would you like to play a game?
Would you like to play? I still remember the voice because that was like that was then. You know, that's what a computer voice sounded like then.
I remember back in the mid 80s, I was working at a bank in New York, and everybody had dumb terminals. And we got a PC, just one. And it didn't have Lotus 1, 2, 3, it had Symphony, which is a Lotus product, but it had 4 and 5. It had a couple of other softwares attached to it. Anyway, it had one of those acoustic coupler, what do you call it? Modems. And you had to listen to that. Remember that old AOL sound to get it when you were dialing up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
One day the phone rang. And everybody who sat in the vicinity of the computer just looked at each other like, what are we supposed to do? So the guy who sat closest went over, picked up the phone, and said, IBM PC, may I help you? And I guess the person on the other end was totally creeped out and just hung up.
What was the computer answer?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I try to remember what PJ says about not being old. We're classic.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of classics. There's a lot of classics in this stream.
One of the many reasons I love hanging out with all of you. Common denominator memories.
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of those artificially intelligent, I guess you could call them support characters that you call up somewhere, and there's an obvious pre-recorded computerized system in place. And I was on one of those support calls and speaking to, basically asking questions back and forth with an AI, and they actually had the gall to go. The computer would say, "Oh, hold on, let me check and see about that." And they actually added the click clack of a keyboard in the background. I got so mad that I hung up the phone and called back and asked to speak to a living operator, and just chewed them out. I'm like, how did we all know? Who are you trying to fake with this silly nonsense? It's insulting. This is an AI-driven character. It's so obvious. You added the keyboard for real? Like, what the hell?
Do you remember that scene in Demolition Day where they ring up and the guy picks up the phone and he does a bit in the end and said, "If you prefer to speak to a robot, to an automatic operator, press 9." He goes into the whole thing and he's doing that.
Well, one year I was calling UPS because I was having a problem with a package. And I think I speak pretty clearly. I don't have any very thick regional accent from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But the machine kept asking me to repeat something.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally just lost it, and I dropped an F-bomb. Next thing you know, I got a person. Understood, what the, whatever. But it didn't understand my saying, "Human being, please," or whatever else I said. But it did understand,
I had that trouble when I'm trying to call like the bank or anything like that, and you're just going over and over again, say advisor, 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 and you still don't know.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, I remember I used to know a guy who wrote a lot of those scripts, like helpline scripts and the rest of it. And he used to say he'd ring up and he'd get someone and he'd say, "Look, I wrote this script. Just go to step 127 where you have to call your supervisor." All right, I know this. I wrote the script for you. Yeah, I've seen that cam. There's not certain exactly what it is that is coming back. If it's supposed to be a reboot, because there were things about doing a reboot and starting all again. Because a large number of the cast are no longer with us. sadly.
Yeah.
But there's supposed to be something. So I'm not sure what if this is. This came oddly enough. This sort of came up about the same time that we first started getting rumours that RTD was coming back to do Doctor Who. This will come up and almost I think it was the same week, certainly in my case. I first saw things saying about JMS wanting to redo Babylon 5. Question being is if this is going to be something with the surviving actors and their characters, although somewhat
Are they just going to be cameo type roles?
yeah, they're going to be
or are they
cameos,
gonna,
recasting it. I mean, talking about I think one of the things I'm talking about sort of doing the whole thing just with Sheridan without putting Sinclair in there, so on and so forth. But we'll have to.
I don't know. I mean, they might do a fantastic job with it. That'd be great, but I'm Babylon 5 is one of those shows that I was happy to be proved wrong in my view with Battlestar Galactica, because I shunned that remake for years because Battlestar Galactica, the original, was a huge favorite of mine, and I absolutely loved the characters of that. And when I started hearing that they were making it again, and I was just not a happy bunny, and I just did not go anywhere near it. And then years later, like really within the last 15 years or so, we watched it, and I was very impressed with it. I don't consider it a rival to the original. I just thought it was a kind of a nice homage, to the original, and I did enjoy it as a standalone series. I thought it was really entertaining. It kept us really engaged. So it can be done, but I always start from a place of worry, that it's going to be, PJ said
we don't live in that era anymore.
Well, the thing was, I remember. I mean, because for me, the remake of BSG, I was a fan of the original, like you, Wendy, and the remake of BSG, I actually wasn't that bothered where they gender swapped Starbuck or
no, that worked okay.
That didn't bother me. What I thought was a little bit odd in some ways was that they gender swapped those characters and then they dropped all the original female characters. I'm not. I think Sheba might have turned up as a one-off at one point.
Well, they gender swapped Boomer as well.
They gender swapped Boomer, but then they also went and gender swapped Lloyd Bridges as well to Major Kira. Forgot the actor's name when they bought. But I mean, the thing was, I thought the big problem with the remake was, as PJ said, it was very much made for a post September 11, 2001 world, and that's what it was. A lot it was about. It was very much about that, and therefore it was very much a military sci-fi. And that's really, really good. I've got some of my favorite sci-fi series is a military sci-fi, but that's what they're intended to be. Whereas Battlestar Galactica was, I still much prefer. I think I stopped watching when it first came out. About the time that they ended.
Oh, you dropped out a little bit, Colin.
I say spoilers. Where they ended up settled on the planet, or some settled on the planet, and some of them.
That got weird. That when they settled down and like Adama was missing, and where is the Galactica? What's going on here?
And then I came back a few years ago and binge watched it all the way through, and it was okay. Apart from the last episode, I thought was, oh dear.
You know, with all criticism aside about comparing it to the original, it was a very well executed
Yeah.
and well acted attempt at rebooting a series. It was really the first time anybody had really tried that. I mean, Next Gen on the face of it was the next generation, right? So it wasn't even a reboot. It was years later.
Well, I'll do there's only one reboot that has worked that worked for me completely and utterly, and that was the CGI remake of Captain Scarlet. Because
Nice.
Jerry Anderson was still involved with that one, and they did it smartly. They literally rebooted it, so similar characters. Some of the characters were swapped around, not a problem. They did away with all the iconic vehicles, so you weren't comparing them. You had new vehicles, new stories, and the rest of it with CGI.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one that worked for me. I think a lot of these things, Battlestar Galactica. I mean, to be possibly honest, maybe if I'm feeling really, really generous, Timbals, who a lot of these things probably would be okay, or even possibly quite good as their own thing, but it's because they're remakes of or new takes on something that it was popular and that we love. That I think is when we are looking at them, you can't help but bear the other one in mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
So
it's strange, and the direction that Babylon 5 took in regard to the human form Cylons, that got a little funky, and it turned into kind of what the original novel for Blade Runner, Androids Dream of Electronic Sheep, it kind of became that more than Blade Runner did, where you didn't trust anybody because you weren't sure who was real or Cylon. The idea that they created that sort of internal doubt, and it was strange how many of the ethnic characters turned out to be Cylons. It's just like, guys, what are you playing at here?
yeah, it turned into it also turned into a political Manchurian candidate who's the
Yeah.
spy show as well. I mean, I thought like they did it very well, but
Yes, yeah. Internally, within the scope of their own narratives, within the universe, it was all very well executed. My favorite part about it was that the Battlestar Galactica was so low tech that there was no computing.
Yeah.
Right? That they had these wired phones. There was no wireless phones on the bridge and that was a security thing. The idea that they even mentioned that they had taken measures to step away from the Cylons because they had become too digitized. I was like, that's a good take, guys. Well done. I like that.
Well, I did like the opening bit on the space station where the guys turn up and they've never and no one's ever turned up in the last 30 odd years. And then suddenly someone does, and then you go away and you see wait, but wasn't she just blown up on a space station? It's the same woman.
Yeah.
You know,
I did enjoy that part. The original Battlestar Galactica was a little too 12th Planet Zachariah Sitchin at points.
Yeah.
I mean, it all worked. We all loved it when it was original, but it did kind of gain a little bit of its own age at some points, and it became a little repetitive after a while.
Yeah, I mean the one thing that I did not like I must admit personally, and it's personal opinion, I did not like the way they ended the reboot with that idea of, okay, well, actually, no, they're the people that colonize Earth rather than the other way around. I also had one problem I did have with the original in a way, and it's something that they actually did a lot better, I think, in Firefly. Was you've got 12 habitable planets and moons in one solar system. Some of the and hold on a second. Wait a minute. You're not quite sure what a parsec and the light year are. Some of the lighting wasn't that fantastic, but it was what it was. It was the 70s, and it was. And again, they had good lead female characters in there. Again, believe it or not.
Yeah, everybody was solid. Like well executed for what it was. It was just at that time period. This is what concerns me about Babylon 5. That Babylon 5 is going to become a sex show, where they're going to be more concerned about the romances happening between the character than the fate of the universe.
I thought you were going to talk about Tracy Scoggins in that in the what was it, the TV film about the Soul Hunters, but we won't go down that line. Yes,
don't get him started, Steve.
That's my concern, because we all know that that the girl from the Psy-Force, from the Psy-Corps, that she was into Ivanova, right? And that there may have been some stuff that happened, but it was gracefully all behind closed doors. Because, guys, we got a universe in turmoil over here. Are we really going to start talking about lingerie right now?
No.
Yeah. Yes, please. No, I mean, but it was exactly. I mean, like so much. I think it was done well. It was done very well. It was a good thought. It was a good plan. It was done well.
It was Battlestar Galactica, and in Babylon 5, it was respectful to the conditions of the universe at the time. It's like, yes, these people are in love. Yes, there are these characters. Yes, they're coupling up. Yes, they're getting together behind closed doors. But guys, the Earth has turned into a corrupt body of Nazis. And, oh, by the way, there are these two ancient alien races that are trying to take over the galaxy because they're still having a grudge match that's several tens of thousands of years old. It's like, we've got bigger fish to fry, okay? We don't need a wedding ceremony right now. It's like, where television is going, I just don't get it. Why all of this sexuality is necessary to shatter all of these narratives. I just don't get it.
Well, that's why that's one reason why I did notice that it seems that they like with was it someone else they did where they a show recently where they aged up. If I'm correct, but where they aged up Riri Williams in Wakanda, Who Cares? I think there was another one as well that did it where they aged. Was it? I know what I think it was. Jim PJ will confirm this if they're still about. They aged the kids up on Wheel of Time. So that they could yes, exactly, so that they could have some sex scenes in there.
They aged them up because they wanted to put that in, but if you follow the book, it's not until there is a little bit of like the teenage puppy love. If I'm gonna put it very brutally, in the first 2, maybe 3 books, and I know PJ will be kicking my butt on this even further, but these were kids drawn into a world war. So imagine yourself that this is World War One, where we had no standards. It's like, okay, you need to be 18 to join the army. No, it's like if you can carry a pitchfork, you're joining the war.
Yeah,
that is how brutal it was.
I mean, to be fair, I think there is a difference between, again, as someone who's not read the books, saying, okay, well, we want to make this show a little bit more adult because of the tensions. We want to have some adult themes, in the show, and it will be inappropriate for these to be 14, 15-year-olds. If they're 19, 20, then yeah, we can have some sexual storyline and sexual. That I think is not as bad as saying, well, we're going to wage them up so we can have them bonking every 5 minutes. You know, I think there is.
I think it had a lot of that material in the original, the first part. And when they brought it to cinema, when they turned it into a live action again, it became a hotbed topic where people were really talking about how these kids are far too young to be doing these scenes. I'm like, but the original material, that's what the original material says.
Well, apparently, so I mean, it's so I never actually, I never saw nor read the books, but apparently it was the same with Game of Thrones. Some of the bits are I'm trying to think the way to put it. Probably reasonably appropriate for a medieval era setting.
Yes.
Where childhood, should we say childhood was somewhat shorter.
Yeah, I've read some Renaissance level romance, and all of those characters in those poetic things that are hanging out in the field, playing the lute and eating fruit and feeding each other grapes, they can't be any more than 16, 17 years old.
Romeo and Juliet were in their teens.
I was going to say, Juliet was. I'm trying to remember this.
I was just thinking that.
One of my favorite series of books, authors, the late great Anne McCaffrey. Not the Pearl novel. She did a series of books called the Shell Person book, Shell Ship book, and the first one she did was short, and there's one of them where there's a crew doing Romeo and Juliet, and they mentioned about that. I think they mentioned that Juliet's supposed to be about 13 in that.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Yeah. She might have been a little bit old. I've never read the play, but yeah, exactly. Because of the time period, we had, life was different, things were different. Childhood, people tended to grow up a lot quicker.
I'm always willing. It's like if your average lifespan is, you're lucky if you live beyond 22 years old.
Exactly.
The average lifespan is 22 years old. I have no issues with the early teens trying to be romantic or whatever. Obviously, absolutely. Even in such a scenario, it's like if it's a 7-year-old girl and like a 19-year-old guy, no, I'm out of here.
Well, if since we're probably, good Lord, invaded. If the boss would,
can you hear me?
You're very quiet, mate. Very, very quiet.
Not my normal setup. So let's see if I can change speakers.
It's a little crackly as well, but
I mean, what I would say was, I'm not going to get into the average. But what I would say was, as regarding ages, very shortly for this one, because we are now moving into my wheelhouse. Not 1522. I'm not a bloody Tudor. I'm medieval. The Battle of Cressy, 1346.
Roman warned us about this.
Fairness, Colin, you're just pure evil.
Well, exactly. I was going to say that. 1346, Battle of Cressy. Edward Woodstock, later known as Black Prince, 16 years old when he earns his spurs at the Battle of Cressy, leading one of the king's wings. Battle of Shrewsbury, I want to say, because it's a bit later on. Henry V gets an arrow through his face, as a result of which, someone invents the Bradwell extractor to remove arrows, which is still used today, and B, we only ever see one side of his face. Again, 16 years old, 16 years of age there. You've got young men leading in battle. So, as I said, from that point of view, adulthood and adult responsibilities came a lot younger. So I've got no real problems with them doing that, as long as you bear in mind that it's in in character with the times, with what life was like at the time. So as I said, I mean, if you're going to go back to having teenagers doing things that these days we would not expect them to do for another 5 years or so, if it's in line with the setting, then that's not a problem.
All right,
guys,
PJ,
I can only pop
let's
in.
have it.
I can only pop in for 10, 15 minutes at most. First of all, thank you very much for hosting, Alec.
No problem.
Jim, tisk. Kelly, hello. I thought I'd pop in and say hi. So
Hi.
it's not my normal setup.
Hello.
It's not my normal setup, and I'm still enjoying my break. So I
Good.
just thought I'd pop in and say hi and quick before bye. And yeah, Battlestar Galactica, too dark.
Yeah, I'll agree on that.
Oddly enough, PJ, you sound a lot better with this setup than your previous setup.
Oi.
I'm just being
do.
cheeky, but
yeah, you actually, it is very crisp. It's very there is a difference. It's definitely different.
Well,
I can't wait.
Completely new system. So
I can't wait until the final result, PJ. Sorry to
Yeah, definitely. We're on tenterhooks now to see the photos of the after.
Done. Well, I've got half of my room done. The other half is being built, and I've got 2 days to do it.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
I will get a picture of it and see how it looks. I'm shuddering it because I'm sitting there thinking, I've got more shelves. How come it looks like it's not going to fit? The stuff I took off my shelves, the stuff I've put to the charity shop, the stuff I've packed away for other things. How the hell's it? Where's the space gone? But it's meant to fit. It's meant to fit. But we'll see.
Yeah. How's the bairn?
Oh, he's doing absolutely fantastic. Still screams every time he sees me with my beard. So yeah, it's basically happy as Larry until he sees me. Then he's a moony face. But yeah, still fun.
He will change his tune when he sees all the cool toys.
Yeah, he's got no choice. I ain't
How old is he now, PJ?
He's 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yep. Sitting up, stuffing his face with broccoli. He looks like today he looked as if he was eating a tree. He literally had a big stalk of broccoli. So yeah, first tooth and stuffing his face, just like your grandfather.
Too funny.
But time flies. It is fun. But I thought I would pop in and say thank you guys for the cover for the last 2 weeks. Say hello to Kelly because obviously I hadn't spoken to you before.
Nice to meet you officially, PJ.
Yes, you too. And Alex, thanks for covering for.
No problem. No problem, PJ. It had to be a last minute thing. Roman offered it, but Roman's got ribs cooking, so we could have ended it early.
Oh God, no ribs. Yum 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 yum.
Oh yeah, I said we're all coming over to his house.
Yep, I was thinking that.
Right.
So I just thought I'd pop in. So I'll leave you all to it. I'm going to bounce back out because I've got some odds to the end because I'm up early tomorrow because that'll be the last day of my technical break. And then I'm back to doing stuff before I go back to work.
See you on Tuesday, PJ.
See you on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Have a fun rest of the night. Gwen, Kelly, Stephen, Colin, Alex, and Jim.
Talk to you soon.
I'll catch you later.
PJ, take
Ta-da.
care.
Bye.
Ta-da.
Cheers.
Okay, I just want
so
to make a quick
adorable.
announcement. Sorry, Steve, to interrupt you. We'll be wrapping up in about 24 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I wish I need pictures of the giant tree eating baby. I need pictures. You know, with all of the weird wrist positions and the gaping mouth and the eyes wandering around the room. I need
It's
pictures.
starting to sound like a horror film.
That's great. It's so awesome.
Yeah, that's brilliant. He's not partial to beards, but he'll come around. When he realizes what an absolutely awesomely cool granddad he has, he's going to be like, wow, I hit the lottery, man.
Right?
And all three of my nieces were like that, because I think I'm the only person when they were babies, obviously, I think I'm probably the only person they knew who had a beard. Oddly enough, was a practice last week, and several of our people have recently got puppies, and I think again, got confused again. I think I was the only person they'd met with a beard. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I could imagine it now. When the kid gets a little older, you'll sit on his granddad's knee, and his granddad will say, "Grandson, soon this will all be yours."
Oh, Alec, you got to check the Let's Talk Geeky. He just put up an image
Will do.
of the
I'm
broccoli
just
eating child.
getting it right now.
Oh, this is worth having a look. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Okay, right.
Fantastic. Exactly
And
what I imagined.
Oh my God!
Now,
Yeah, he is, isn't he? God. That is.
yay!
That
I've
is
got this proof,
fantastic.
and I'm going to work out what to do with it.
Oh my
Oh, that is
goodness.
adorable. Yeah, he is going to town on that broccoli, isn't he?
That's great. That's fantastic. Congratulations, PJ.
Little
That's so
Baldy bean.
awesome.
It's almost a spitting image of PJ.
It's true.
There is no hair. Okay, there is a lack of a beard, but there is no hair.
He won't officially be like PJ until he has a can of Iron Brew.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's not young. He's classic.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yay!
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's
He
what
is beautiful.
that's what the broccoli's about. He's trying to look like his granddad.
He's a little cutie. Yeah,
I'm impressed a baby likes broccoli.
I know.
Mm.
I know.
Well, I'm just going to turn the
A lot of
image up. There we go.
don't like broccoli.
That's absolutely
Yeah, I
fantastic.
despised it until I
Yeah.
was an adult.
Well, there's the I've heard it said that there are literal physiological changes between children and adult. That some food literally does taste different when you're a kid to when you're an adult. That there are literal physiological changes in the body.
Mhm.
You know, so that things taste a lot more bitter. I think, if I believe is one of them, which is why kids are intelligent and don't like Brussels sprouts.
No, kids don't eat Brussels sprouts.
I
Exactly.
don't like Brussels sprouts.
That's what I said. Kids are
It's a-
smart.
it's a-
They don't eat Brussels sprouts.
It's the difference.
Can't stand them.
It's the difference between what's the difference between bogey and a Brussels sprout? Well, kids don't eat Brussels sprouts.
Nice.
Oh,
Thank you for that disgusting sight.
Well, it's a
Alan.
joke.
And,
Absolutely brilliant. One of my two nieces, the younger of the two, whenever I held her, the whole time I was holding her in my arms, she would just sometimes looking directly at my face and other times just casually while she was looking around the room, continuously stroking hairs very gently in my beard. I had like this goatee that was a couple inches long, like kind of Egyptian style.
Mm-hmm.
And she would be fascinated. She would spend like minutes at a time just looking at it and gently grabbing one hair and running her fingers over it. She was just so fascinated. I don't know what it was. I was entranced just watching her watching the beard. It was so, because normally you would think that they would pull on it, but no, she was never, ever not gentle with it.
My dad had a beard. And my niece and nephew, obviously his grandchildren, they were fascinated by it.
I can't imagine what it must have felt like in her fingers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I can't imagine what it must have felt like, in her fingers, like what was going through her head. Like, oh, I remember in a previous life, or, my brain was just doing tumble salts.
Well, everything's new, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
all new sensations and things like that. Yeah. A new human being.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so wonderful. They don't stay babies for long.
Things.
Mm.
It's just so cool to see babies enjoying things, and something that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that's it. Discovering the world for the first time.
Yeah, the thing is with young babies at the moment is that they're still young, innocent, but it's just, I hope kids born today are not introduced to what is going on with the world at the moment, especially with a few things what's happening.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
One thing about being classic is that we don't have to deal with this as far as many years down the road as the young people do.
It's
okay.
In all fairness to history, and Colin, you and Jim, totally back me up on this if you can. We could all roll the clock back to our own childhood and some of the relatives in our lives that took major issues with some of the stuff we were ingesting. Granted, today is a totally bizarre landscape, but then again, history never saw the internet before either, but it did see the publishing industry, and it did see the birth of Christendom. And these things must have been outright bizarre. Imagine a European family having to live with the idea that some of their younger children had moved to America and what that meant to the legacy of their European bloodlines. None of this is new. Everything changes, right?
Anyway,
I can even speak to my own timeline. And I don't know how this has happened. Born and raised in Scandinavia, free education, including university. And yes, I know this is shocking to everybody on this panel, probably even the chat, but you get paid by the government to go to university in Scandinavia. All you have to do is 75% minimum attendance on all the courses, and that's about 2 hours a week.
Oh my
You
God.
don't get paid
That says a lot
of...
about.
Right. Sorry to interrupt you, but Steve, would you like to promote this? What Roman's just posted?
Oh yes. Roman of the Empire does a fantastic show. We're gaining some subs, and although he uses that naughty WH word right there, I don't know why he needs to do that and be self-deprecating at the same time. He's not much older than I am, if anything, by maybe a month or two. But help an old YouTuber out. He's got his ribs that he's smoking, and those are the ones that are outside of his body. Forget about the ones inside his body.
Smoke them if you got them.
I'm sorry, Roman. I'm not going to subscribe unless I get the proper cooking channel out of it.
But I will say that we had a Veterans Day show where we talked about war movies throughout history, and we had 200 views on that before Saturday was even complete. And that's some major traction. We got some good material on there. We do reviews every Thursday. Got Blair to Blair is now part of the panel as well. We got some guests that come on every once in a while, and we get into some pretty fascinating chats, kind of like this.
You can't call me a guest, as I'm the one that always fall asleep.
We welcome all parties, even those that sleep. But 8 subs is not a lot to give. Pass the word around.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the channel now on YouTube, and it's YouTube is hiding you, Roman. I don't know where you went.
So do you want to bring it up in the description?
Bring what up in the description?
In the chat, Roman's
the page link.
channel.
I will drop it in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
You're welcome, sir.
Also, I've just been looking at that Medusa Cascade that someone mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
Her playlists include Doctor Who: The Wilderness Years, Stargate, Stranger Things, Farscape, Babylon 5, Classic Doctor Who, Babylon 5 movies, The Avengers, WandaVision, unfortunately, but Hey, I watched One Revision. I'm not going to complain. The Prisoner, Torchwood. I think she may actually be worth a look.
We've watched her
Sapphire.
channel. It's
So
very good.
Sapphire and Steel's on there. She's okay. Sapphire and Steel and Time Slip. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to go and watch about 12 hours of this lady because she's doing things like Sapphire and Steel and Time Slip.
Oh, Sapphire and Steel was brilliant.
This is now I'm now sold on this lady.
Yeah, she's got a really unique gig there, and she does her videos are well done, and it's just fun watch. She's got lots of good, as you said, lots of good shows.
God, she's got the. Is she a Brit?
I know.
Is she a Brit? Then?
I think so.
No, I was going to say it's just because she's looking at the things she's got there. She's got the.
Colin's in love.
I'm amazed anybody but me remembers the change in this Time Slip. Children of the Stones.
Yeah.
God.
She's been going a little while now. Yeah, she's got quite a following.
Yeah.
Yeah, right to her. She's doing well.
No, but I said, it's just there's something there that I'm surprised. I'm amazed I'm the only person who's ever actually heard of things like Time Slip. Mind you, Time Slip they read it in Big Finish. Children of God, Land of the Giants. Ugh, no, sorry, I'll look at that later. But no, I mean, thank you for that. Whoever was that it does look at another. It's always useful to find other interesting.
Oh, it's awesome to find other channels. Yeah, there's people doing some great stuff.
Yeah. All right. Shall we do the slow wrap up now?
Sure.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm still awake.
Oh
I'm usually gone by now.
Well, Wendy, as your front and center, would you like to do the wrapper? Yeah. Oh, she's gone.
Who?
Wendy's disappeared. I didn't even touch.
She's vanished. She had to go and mention that YouTube wasn't showing Roman's channel, and that's it. They just kicked her out.
No.
Daughter.
Oh, she left before the wrap. Okay, well, let's do the slow wrap up of promotions. Steve, you go first.
You know what? My schedule is kind of opened up. The next thing I got going on is Unplugged with you. And I am not a number. I am a free man. Our lovely tribute in a game form of the original series, The Prisoner.
Yep. Details will be released tomorrow of what is happening with that.
Very cool.
Is the Viking still awake? Kelly Inch, would you like to promote yourself?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. I'm on Twitter, but you all follow me. And that's about it.
Oh, actually, I have a very important announcement to make. I kind of mentioned it around the block, but you never know with all the people listening who knows and who doesn't know. I changed my handle on YouTube to Stephen Ransom 47, and I've decided to go across the board and make it unified on Twitter as well. But I noticed that some people who are writing the old handle, Bleffin Ransom, in there, I couldn't even see those tweets. It was considering me to be a clone of myself until it was corrected. So that handle is no longer in existence. My new handle is Stephen Ransom 47.
Okie doke.
It says I'm following you, so I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. So if you're following my Twitter, then you'll see it. But people that link it, I don't know why there was a 24-hour period where it got a little wonky. That's all.
It might take as long as 7 days before it's completely transferred.
Right.
Because I've experienced this before. I haven't changed my handle. I've had mine since 2012 or 2000. I don't know when I signed up for Twitter. Right. But I've had my same handle because it's unique to me, and I still can't. Well, there are some people out there in certain new video games. They take my handle, but they are extremely rare. So I can usually just go in my handle. Yes, I'm called Jim the Viking, but I usually use the name Viperbane because that is something that happened back in the 1990s, where I had a hardcore survival game character. If you died, your character got deleted. And I got killed by a viper. So now I have, in video games, if there is a viper, I will kill them. I shall kill them.
Anyway, Wendy, what happened?
Oh, I'm a tit. I was just messing around with different tabs, and of course I shut the wrong tab down.
Fantastic.
Just as I was saying, I made it through a stream, then I knocked myself out of the stream. But that's my boomer moment for the night.
Yeah, no worries, Wen. I was
hey,
watching,
at least you didn't fall asleep and not like wake up 2 hours later.
Right?
Yeah, good point on that one.
When you were supposed to be running the stream.
Yeah.
I was watching the channel earlier today, and this guy he's a pro. I mean, I've been watching him for years, and he must have just been off his game, but he kicked himself off of his own stream with a single guest like 5 times. Just absolutely brilliant. And he came back on hysterical laughing both times. So
who is it? Someone else I watch has got a habit of doing that.
It's so complicated. And stream brain is a reality. It's true.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Wendy, do you want to promote anything coming up?
Well, we have. I'm obviously Wendology 1 on Twitter, but I'm also under Horror Chick 65 on Twitter as well, and that's because I wanted a place where I could post just my horror stuff, but I also do a stream with Mr. Hyde, the Geek Inside is his handle, I think, on Twitter. We're on a little bit of a hiatus at the moment because Mr. Hyde has had 2 computers fail now.
Oh.
So he's waiting for a new PC to come. Early Christmas present. Lucky boy. So we're on a slight hiatus, but we did have a couple of recordings in the can. So those are going to air this Sunday, tomorrow, and the following Sunday. And then we'll be back in January to do some more of the B-movie cinema show. So, and we're got some ideas we might be trying out next year as well. So looking forward to that.
Well, anyway, FFSI, what we've got coming up at the moment, we have got the Prisoner homage on Tuesday. Some of us will be joining PJ on Wednesday for his Wednesday night stream.
Do we know what that is yet?
No idea. No idea. We're normal service will resume next week on PJ's channel after today's temporary bus service. On the 29th of this month on FSI, we've got the look into the film Troll Hunter in relation to the new Norwegian film Troll coming out in December. So that is a plan. But as I'm going to promote myself in about 9 months' time, if all goes according to plan, my book will be finally released to the public.
What will finally be released to the public?
My book. It's in full. It's going into full publication and that now. So in 9 months' time, hopefully it'll be released, and I'll be probably giving a sneak preview of the cover when I get it back. So
nice.
That's it. So yes, after today's temporary bus service, normal service will resume next week.
Return to normality. So anything else you can't handle is your own problem.
So anyhow, let's take it away, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thanks,
And-
Alex. You too.
No
You
problem. And hopefully FFSI will see you on Tuesday.
Yes, that'll be fun.
Yes, that's looking forward to that. I've seen 3 episodes of The Prisoner now, so I feel like I've got a little bit more of a flavor for it now.
Kelly, will you be willing to join us on that day, or
I'll be at work.
you'll be at work?
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the chat, you're against us, so you'll be you'd be with PJ on that.
I'm at work until 10 p.m. your time, and then I'm in the car going home.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the problem with time differences, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
That's why this weekend. This is a great time because it's the mid afternoon for the California people, and it's early evening for me, and for you guys, it's bedtime.
Yep.
For us, it's
Oh,
nearly
well,
hour.
bedtime. I've already had my sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, he's going to go all the way till 4 in the morning.
Jim's going to be awake now all night. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming over to the channel as we were waiting for a Viking to wake up. Hopefully see you on Tuesday, and everyone have a great weekend.
You take care. Thanks so much.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care.
Good night,
watching.
chat.